get it either.
and I don't do anything.
But yet
Literally
our
nothing.
phones almost never crash.
Almost never.
It's something about PCs, dude. I don't know, like, but yeah, it's 2025 and I'm
I've
using,
had weird shit on my phone pop up like virus, and like nothing ever happens.
you know, I
Like none,
just,
nothing.
I'm
It's
using the
just
most basic
that's
of
what I mean.
shit,
Yeah,
dude. I
you
don't
just
get
click
it.
oops on your phone and it's like gone.
Yeah,
What did you
like,
So like most of the times when something that pops up, this is actually something I did learn pure tech. I can't pitch. Half the time it's a virus saying you have viruses. So when you click the button to, say, what's your virus about? It's by clicking it, it allows the virus to get.
This isn't the garage.
That's why I was like, no, I was like, almost all the things on your phone, you just hit X and then it goes away.
And then even if like it's not that big a deal nowadays, anyways. 'Cause even if your phone does get a virus, as long as you just like factory reset it quick enough, most phones have the option to like totally set up your phone how you want it,
yeah.
factory.
But that's what I mean, Bubs. Even then, how does that? It's 2025, dude. And yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. It's time, Izzy. Go lay down. Why, why don't you get your brother?
With these alleged
yeah,
witches,
I just
he
thought
suggested
we
that they
would
should
be
be given the
past,
herb
just like your
hellebore, one
phone.
for
Like yeah,
treating
when phones
insanity
first came out,
rather
they
than
were a little
hemlock,
sketchy. They
one
didn't
for
always work.
execution,
But
thus
then, like by
expressing
the
his
time I was a
classic
kid, your phone
witty
worked when you picked
skepticism
it
of
up,
the
dude.
whole murderous
All
business
so
of the witch trials. Francis Bacon, for
and
his part,
computers
generally
just are
accepted
having
as
a
the
very
founder of
difficult
the
time
scientific
moving into
method
that
in his Novum
stabilization, dude.
Organum,
Like the
takes a
bait. Like,
somewhat
come on,
nuanced
dude.
view to witches and witchcraft more generally.
They
He
always
notes
want
that the
more
tales
money. They
told by
always
witches or
want more
confessed
money.
by witches and of witches should be subject
It's
to
like it's an
resolution through
entire
solid
industry built
evidence.
on
If they
extortion,
say they can
basically.
fly, I need to see you fly. Thus, that
I don't know.
belief of a marvel under confession, especially under torture, for instance of flight to the Sabbath, should be held under strict evidence. Something like bigger claims require bigger evidence. But wholesale skepticism wasn't warranted for him either. For instance, he states that such flights are said to be the result of using something like a magical flying ointment. And, indeed, he recounts the ingredients of such an ointment and actually agrees that it can produce an experience very much like a delirium of the feeling of flight. In fact, he even goes on to suggest a better recipe for inducing just such a delirium. He, in some sense, hilariously, Francis Bacon basically decides to outwitch the witches with his own custom Francis Bacon brand flying ointment. Who knew that the founder of
Okay.
empiricism was
I guess
also a
that's it for me and GTA.
proto-redditor? But in the final analysis, Bacon takes
No, I
witchcraft as
think
a
they were
more
right, dude. Windows
epistemological
just
rather than
closed.
moral
Windows
or
just
theological
ended
sin.
support,
He
whatever.
thinks of it as
Well,
basically
so I'm sure I'm
worshipping
being
false
paranoid, but
gods,
yeah, the
knowing
day
them
they
to be
quit ending
false and
support,
wicked. And in that sense,
my
he
shit's
supports
crashing,
legal
and
correction through imprisonment and pillory, though he doesn't seem to
I'm sure I'm just
suggest
being
capital
paranoid.
punishment to fit this crime. So Bacon has a kind of
But yeah, it
both
never
and
crashed
position when it
before.
comes to the
That I
nature and
remember, never
reality
froze
of
before, never
witchcraft.
crashed before. That
Also,
just started today.
he should never
Yeah.
attempt to create his flying ointment. I have a whole video on flying ointments if you want to check it out. The Basque witch trials, which happened between 1609 and 1614, were the most
What the fuck?
extensive
I
in
didn't
Spanish
save it?
history, mostly due to a sort of outbreak of this
I
because
didn't
of
save it,
children's
dude.
confessions of being taken to the witches' Sabbath. Now, alarmed at the outbreak of diabolism, the Spanish Inquisition, yeah,
Gonna listen to me
we do
for
in
one
fact expect
second
them here
here.
Mm-hmm.
at Esoterica. I mean,
That
Yes.
mission that was super hard
it's
that I
John
just
D. right there.
passed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
At any
it
rate,
didn't.
they sent
It
a
didn't
young
say.
canon lawyer named Alonso de Salazar Frias
Remember
with
that
an
one
edict
where I
of
was all
grace,
happy
which
and
allowed for
Mm-hmm.
confession
no, but
of
just load the
witchcraft
game and no, it's not
without the
saved.
threat of punishment. The
Mm.
people that trusted that
I
were
probably
real
didn't save
brave.
it. I
To
forgot.
investigate on basically what
I
in the
mean, maybe
devil
he might have
was
just moved
going
on
on
or
in
And
Euskadi
then
over there in the
coincidentally, it
Basque
just
country,
gosh.
operating in the
happens to
fashion of a true
completely
detective
crash. Just
starring
coincidentally,
Matthew
bro.
McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. Salazar meticulously analyzed in each and every confession.
I think the
He would
AI is
ultimately make
alive, dude.
9 detailed
No, there
reports
is
to his
no
superiors
way.
between
That's
1612 and
meta as fuck.
1623.
to
In the
troll
second
me
report of
that bad.
1612,
Or
he
do
announced
starter
a
jetpack?
startling
No, it didn't
conclusion to
say
the folks over
Yeah,
there
no,
in
they
Madrid. None
to
of
troll.
these
And how long?
confessions
I've been
had
complaining now for
any
2 hours
basis
straight about how this
in
game is a
reality.
troll.
They were
That it's an
contradictory, they were
evil little
impossible, they were
fucking
born out of
troll
children's
underneath the
imaginations,
bridge.
they were delusions and panic
And it
confessions
literally
to avoid
goes, and that
torture
could
and
be
burning at the
coincidence and my
stake, which did
schizophrenia
happen.
and but
And to be
that's
clear,
really
never once
strange,
does
dude.
Salazar
Now you're,
deny the reality of the devil or witches or witchcraft.
and I
His
very seriously
conclusions
doubt
is
there's a
just that a
human being
sober
fucking
analysis of
watching
the
me and then
evidence,
fucking getting
evidence
on his,
arrived at by
which would mean, yeah,
interrogation
that's a
under
program that's been
grace
written
rather
to
than
make
under
someone
torture,
miserable.
revealed that the panic was a web of
What the fuck,
nonsense.
dude?
His final
What the
analysis and
fuck did you guys
recommendations of
do?
1623 basically mark the end of the witch hunting by the Spanish
No, what did you
Inquisition.
build?
So,
What the fuck
good
did you
job,
guys do,
Salazar.
dude?
Of course, the torture and murder of conversos and indigenous people in the New World
I'm
was
sure
still
it's a
moving
coincidence.
right along at pace. Now, I'm going to come back to do an
Just a
episode
weird
on the
coincidence.
Basque
I
witch trials, which are just very well
passed the jetpack
documented and
mission. I'm
very,
sure
very,
it's all
very interesting.
coincidence. I'm sure
And
it's
we're going
not
to look
that
more
smart.
at
It can't be
Salazar's
that
analysis
smart,
in a
dude.
future
That'd be
episode.
really
But I just want
fucking
to include
smart.
him among the
It'd be thinking.
philosophers
No, that'd
for
be
doing the
thinking. That'd
one
be,
thing that
but it
makes
knows what cars I
any
want to grab.
philosopher worth their salt.
No, it's smart enough to troll
Critical
me in the
thinking.
game.
He did that. He did the
That's
critical
pretty
thinking.
fucking
He had
smart, dude. I
every
don't know how
reason to
they're doing
simply
that.
follow the crowd, repeat the standard witch narratives, and follow orders.
So anyway,
But
just that's
he
a
followed the
troll. Yeah.
evidence, or lack thereof,
So anyway,
and
yeah.
he
No, that didn't
employed
say
reason and logic to evaluate
crashed
what's
on me. It
actually
didn't say.
happening and
no.
actually going on. In doing so, this inquisitor
But then I should have
saved
saved, right? I should have
untold
saved right.
lives.
It was
His
my fault
influence,
because you
thank
should have
goodness, would
saved right
eventually reach the
afterwards,
Roman
and you didn't
Inquisition,
obey the
and in
law of
many ways,
God.
his methods
So
and
God came
recommendations
down on
would
you,
prove to
dude.
be the very
See,
beginning of the end
you
of
should
the
have
Catholic
obeyed the
witch
law,
trials, at
Joe.
least
You,
in Europe. Your mileage would
and it
definitely
gave me
vary
an
in
excuse
Central and
to
South America. Not long after the
fuck,
Basque trials,
dude.
René Descartes' Discourse on
I
Method would
think
appear in
you should.
1637, followed by his famous Meditations in
No, dude,
1641,
I'm telling you.
signaling the rationalist revolution. And while the new philosophy would have implications for virtually every
As I'm
major
listening to a
theological
podcast
question,
on witchcraft.
including the existence and nature of God, the nature of spirits, demonic possession, the effectiveness of magic, and the power of witches, among basically many others, Descartes himself
So
never
magic is
waded
real, but
into
witches weren't,
such
right,
waters
bro?
in publication.
Mhm.
He never tells his
Or
opinion
does he believe
about
it's
what
all
was going
fake? I can
on
never
vis-a-vis
tell if he
witches and
believes it's
witchcraft.
all fake
In
or he
fact, he
believes
was
it's real.
pretty prudent
Yeah.
and careful
I'm
to not
not
even
sure. He
publish his
slips in and
rather
out.
materialist treatise called The World
So if it's
during his
real,
lifetime following the verdict that he saw was
some of
passed
those
on
chicks might have been
Galileo,
witches,
not to mention
bro.
what the Roman Inquisition did to Giordano Bruno.
Good.
In fact, the entire book wouldn't even appear
My,
until well after 25 years when Descartes was safely dead. But the new philosophy was, and is to
I
this
can't
day,
believe that dude's saying,
controversial
bro.
for arguing for the existence of
Yeah.
two distinct substances, a extended substance of body and a
Right.
non-extended
Right.
substance of mental stuff. The Meditations, and especially in the Objections and Replies, and then more clearly in the Principles,
On
also
man.
basically introduced a third substance, the divine substance, marked by necessary existence, but we'll leave that to Baruch Spinoza in just a minute.
But yeah,
Now,
I
the
imagine
thorniest
that's how a
problem
bunch
of
of
the new
aborted
philosophy was
babies
the
would
interaction
behave,
of
right?
that mental substance with a
Aborted
physical
babies whose
substance,
brain cells had been
suggested
fucking
to by
glued onto
Descartes
fucking
to occur somewhere
wafers.
in the human
Mhm.
being
I
up in
imagine
our
they would be
pineal
childish and
gland.
petty, right?
But
It's
mental
like they show
substances
those
as
little demons,
self-conscious thought we
the little
surely only
devils.
encounter in
Yeah.
ourselves.
That's how they
But
would behave.
given the goodness of God, we can't avoid the nightmare of solipsism because basically God wouldn't allow us to be fooled that there are other people thinking stuff.
Because they were
However,
babies.
Descartes did ultimately relegate magic and even
Creepy, huh, to
angels,
think about it.
to the realm
That
of the
haunted
imagination,
hardware,
and then
dude.
demoted the
Got no
imagination
idea what's
from a
on those
medieval
chips,
organ
bro.
of perception to simply a factory of made-up fake images. However, in the conversation with Berman,
I'm
which
sure
is
it's
really
not
one of the
that.
earliest interviews of this period,
I'm
toward
starting
the
to believe
end of his
like my
life, he does
wife.
speculate, while he
It's
doesn't know
worse than
anything
the
about
worst
angels, that if they
you could think
existed, he
of.
speculates, as
No,
embodied
it's
beings,
worse than that,
their
dude.
minds would have clear and distinct knowledge of those bodies, unlike ours. We don't have clear and distinct knowledge of what's going on
It's
inside my
worse than that.
heart or
Yeah.
something. But suffice
They
to say
said
that
everything's
Descartes
possible.
generally avoids any just outright denials of
They're
things like angels,
mixing
spirits,
flesh
demons,
and
and
machine.
witchcraft, And aside from a
No, it's
few
worse.
passing references, even magic,
Those
but his
computers are
system, at least by
fucking
implication, leaves no room for witches, magic, demonic possession, and thus the
That was
prosecution
the
of
chip
witchcraft is
revolution.
simply murder heaped upon superstition for the new philosophy. And we'll see in a bit that that combination
I
of
could be
Cartesian
wrong.
philosophy with biblical criticism is going to lead the radical Dutch minister Balthasar Becker in a
Mm,
categorical attack on diabolism, demonic possession, the concept of witchcraft,
yeah,
and even the idea that Satan himself is
yeah,
anything other than just
yeah.
a symbol
I'm
for
starting to
evil,
think the nuclear
and
bomb
thus
isn't
isn't to be
what they're
making
telling us
deals with
exactly
witches at
either.
all. Now we
Like, yeah,
jump
it's a
across the
chain
channel again to
reaction,
Thomas Hobbes, famous
but I
for his
think it
theory
has
of the
something to
need
do
of
with
a political
quantum, is
sovereign in
why
which
it
is
blows
invested
up.
all political might so as to
Oh yeah,
avoid
it's
descending into a
exactly
state
that.
of
Yep.
nature as
And yeah,
perpetual
Or they're
war,
colliding
and he
two
has a few
things
things
that can't
interesting to
be in the
say
same. They're
about
doing
witchcraft.
something with
that
For his
quantum, I
part,
think.
Hobbes was a
Yep.
mechanistic
and they may have not
materialist,
even known
and
it.
thus angels,
And
demons,
Or
and
no,
they couldn't
spirits are simply
express it
born out of
in the
I think
confusing
the
same
mental
top
images or
scientists could, but
dreams or
even the
visions as real
basic
entities
scientists
in
could.
the
So they
world.
claim, oh, it's
In
a
fact, he
chain
blames the
reaction, one
Gentiles,
thing.
that is to say, the ancient
That's when they
pagans,
draw those
for making
pictures,
just
but
such a
even those
confusion and
pictures
then
may not
passing
be
along to
exactly
the
true
Jews,
or what it
with the
really
exceptions of the
is.
and it's
Sadducees.
like
That's
a
the ancient
lot with
Jewish sect
math
that
and
rejected the
science,
idea
even
of
if the
angels and
top
afterlife.
scientists to some
And thus,
degree
they made that
know
mistake,
it,
and
that
it
doesn't
was
mean they can
ultimately
Yeah,
injected
well,
express
into
it.
like Einstein,
Christianity.
Yeah.
That is
he
to
didn't
say,
like
thinking that they
he
were
didn't like
spirits
quantum. He
outside
tried
of
to,
the mind.
Yeah.
Though oddly
So
and I
enough,
know
he
in
also says that
Oppenheimer
all
they
the
go into
angels of the Old
quantum.
Testament were just
When I was
visions,
a kid,
whereas the
I didn't
ones
even
in
know
the
what
New Testament
quantum
were
leap was. I
physically
thought that
real
was the name of
entities.
a
So
TV show,
he's not
but
terribly
no, it
consistent
was
on this
the
issue.
top guys
But the
already
existence
knew
of
They,
what.
demons is
yeah,
just
but
rejected
they
as a
couldn't explain it.
You
phantasms
can't
of the
explain
brain,
it.
as he has it,
You
along
know,
with
because
Well,
fairies
imagine
and
telling
ghosts,
someone in the
and thus witches are
1970s that
deprived of any such
something can
beings to
exist in
make
two
pacts
spots,
with.
or like
Indeed,
they wouldn't have
Hobbes
believed that wasn't
lambasts
even
the
in
Catholic
Star Trek,
Church
dude.
as
We couldn't
promoting
even do
such
time travel
superstitions
yet,
and rituals and scriptural
and
interpretation
realizing
and
like,
in
yeah, you're
religious
just making new
practice so
timelines.
as to enslave the population within
You
a
can't go
kingdom
back in
of
time. You'll
darkness.
change
He
it, and the
loves to
minute
use
you
the language
change
of
it,
demonology and
it's
kingdom of
not the
darkness,
same
but it's just but a
timeline.
metaphor. And yet,
That's why
that
despite
you would.
his
stupid Flash
naturalism as
show really
regards
ridiculous
demons,
No, it
Hobbes
wasn't
suggests
just. It
something
wasn't Flash
shocking
to
when
me. It
it
was that
comes to
scene in
witchcraft.
X-Men
As he
where
writes
he
in
saves all the
Leviathan,
But see,
people.
you
as
didn't
for
watch.
witches,
You
I
didn't
think
I
watch.
didn't
not
watch
that
the
their
show,
You
but
didn't
witchcraft is
watch the
any
show,
real
like
but
yeah.
power.
anyways, before and
But
then it
yet
started
they are
making
justly
people
punished
realize
for the
like,
false
oh, the
belief they have
Flash,
that they can
everybody's
do much
standing still.
mischief,
Well, that's the speed
joined
of
with their
light
purpose
thing, and
to it
just
if they
different.
can,
So
their
people
trade
started
being
thinking
nearer
about
to a
it
new
more.
religion
Like,
than
yeah,
to a
the faster
craft
you move, the
or a
slower
science.
everything
He
else is
doesn't
moving, or yeah, it
believe
fucks with
in
time.
witchcraft at
No,
all.
no,
And
the
yet those that
they're
pretend to
like
do
no,
it
that's what I mean.
make
There's this one
mischief
TV
and
show,
thus
but it
disrupt the
really
social order,
did.
presumably, and should be
It
punished just
really
the
did
same.
illustrate
At
and
first, it's
show
a
Yeah.
why,
jarring
like, yeah,
juridical
what fucking
idea,
happens
but
when
given the
Hmm.
with
centrality of
time.
Yeah.
social
You
order
can't,
under
you
And
can't
sovereign
speed
power
and
for
change
time.
Hobbes,
Yeah.
speed
it's
and
not at
time
all
and how, like,
surprising.
yeah,
No.
For Hobbes, a purified
anyways.
Hmm.
And
Christianity
it even
devoid of
showed
all
it,
this
like how it
pagan
was fucking
superstition and
split, you
philosophy
know what I
must
mean?
be
Like how
Yeah.
it
brought
was
under
splitting it
secular
Into a different
sovereign
branch.
into
control to
totally
ensure
different,
avoiding that
yeah.
descent
It's
into
not
the
the same.
terrible
Yep.
state
It's
of
not the same
nature,
thing.
wherein
Timeline.
You
life
can't do
is,
that.
Hmm.
say it
Yeah.
with me now,
So,
solitary,
and you would
poor,
even argue you
nasty,
observing is
brutish,
changing it, dude.
and
Because
short.
the observer affects. You
John
can't.
Locke, for his
So
part,
it's
seems
the.
to have
I
said
can't believe that
basically
did not
nothing
save,
on the
bro.
topic of spirits, angels, or
I
demons, or
can't.
much less
You
witches
think
and
it's gonna give it
witchcraft.
to me again?
Again, this is pretty shocking considering what's going on in
Think
England
I'm
at
gonna
that
fail it?
time.
Not
But
after
Locke, for his part in the
circumstances,
essay, says that human beings were simply
I beat
under
it
an
kind of easy that
absolute
time.
ignorance when it comes to such
until
matters as the existence, nature, and rank of beings between us and the divine. We just don't know anything
No, because
about
I
them and
just got the
can't.
jetpack, and
This,
yeah,
however,
it's
is
the
rather
bomb.
a
I'm
feature
not
rather than
being
being a bug in the system for
negative.
Locke,
I'm just
because it
being
leaves, quote,
realistic.
nothing left on which to build the
The jetpack is
superstitions that
basically
have so
letting me.
long afflicted humanity. Of
But
course,
no, they're
that
not the
might have
solutions.
included for Locke swimming,
What do you
burning
call
the
that?
so-called witches, which was
Crows?
going on in England,
As a crow
but
flies?
Locke
Mm,
I don't
never
have to
says
drive through
right.
as much.
remember me just bitching. Yeah.
Spinoza, pantheist,
give it to me?
atheist, or somehow mystically
You're gonna have to
both, also provides very little room for the reality of angels, demons, ghosts, or witchcraft in his system. For him, there is just one substance, God, of which there are infinite attributes. Human beings, us, as modes of the divine nature substance, have access to just two of those attributes, extension and thought. But as he points out in letters 56, 58, and 60, this leaves no room for entities between human beings and God. Thus, Spinoza radically banishes not only ghosts, but also angels and demons, including Satan, from his system. In fact, he says, I don't even know how to define what a ghost is outside of contradictory nonsense. Further, he suspects that Jesus himself was only talking to people in language that they could understand, rather than positing the existence of such beings when he invokes the reality of demons in some of his sermons. Spinoza even goes as far as to argue that on purely logical grounds, that the devil does not exist, but could not exist. On this line of reasoning, beings only persist in being insofar as they are part of the divine perfection and love that perfection. The devil, neither enjoying that perfection and actively rejecting that love in hatred of God, would always just fail to exist
Dude,
as
that was
such.
so
Indeed,
wrong what it
Spinoza
just
even
did to me.
mocks the commonplace
That
Christian
was
idea
so
of the
wrong,
time
dude.
that, quote, divine justice permits the devil to deceive men with impunity, but does not permit men haplessly perceived by and ensnared by the devil to go unpunished, as simply morally vicious as it is metaphysically nonsensical. Nicolas Malebranche, one of the many clerical Cartesian rationalists, I know that sounds like a contradiction in terms, but many of the early adopters of the new philosophy were in fact clergy, is perhaps best known for his commitment to the position of occasionalism, the position that God alone is responsible for all efficient causation, and
Oh
thus
my
all
God,
causal
dude.
interactions between
That
extended
cannot be an
things were
accident,
merely
guys.
apparent. They're simply occasions for God to cause them to interact, but nothing's actually interacting at all. God's basically doing all of this all the time. It's actually a position pretty common in Islamic mysticism, especially in people like Al-Ghazali, but it makes an important appearance here
That
in
cannot be an
Malebranche and kind of
accident.
got him in
I
trouble
keep
with the
landing
church
right on
later.
top of the guys,
Regardless, I suspect
and
he
they're
goes
too close. I can't
understudied
shoot
and
them.
underappreciated because he's too much
That
of a
has got to
rationalist for
be,
the
that is,
Christians,
no, and it
and
keeps
he's too
happening over and
Christian
over. See, it's
for the
like that. It just
rationalists,
breaks
given
all
again his attempt to
physics, dude, to put
synthesize the
you,
philosophies
to
of
create
Augustine
these things
and
it's
the
wanting to
philosophy of
create. And you're like,
Descartes,
oh my
which,
God, dude,
on the
please
face of it, does seem
stop.
like a kind of crazy thing to do. Regardless of that,
No,
Malebranche
that
held
means
that
you're,
true
oh,
witchcraft, authentic satanic
witchcraft.
pacts,
It's
were
fucking
indeed
witchcraft, dude. Ooh.
real, but very rare. And he never does
No, you were
deny the
right. You
reality
didn't
of
give
the
it to me.
devil. Indeed, God may
Mom,
make
you were
satanic
right.
efficiency
And
apparent
yeah,
for
it kept
reasons known
landing me
only
right on
to
top
the
of guys,
divine,
dude. I
perhaps
literally could
for the
not.
edification of the faithful. Remember, the devil can't do anything on Malebranche's
It's
system.
like that game. Just
God
put a
makes
rubber
the
band
devil
on the
appear to be
controller,
doing
dude,
things. However,
and run
most
it so
so-called
many
witchcraft is
times,
actually a kind of mass delusion
and it'll
caused by
fucking
what we
give it
would
to you.
now
You're like,
call
oh my God,
psychological
that's no
priming.
player
That
control
is to
whatsoever.
say, if one is raised and taught that
Dookadoo,
witchcraft is real
dookadoo.
and operative
Slot
in the
machine,
world,
dude.
then one will
Slot
see the
machine.
activity of witchcraft everywhere
Huh.
something bad
You
happens.
know,
Again, cows die, witchcraft. Child dies, witchcraft. And this inspires some people to actually seek out
Market
diabolical
cap as in
powers out
what?
of a kind of social desperation or want of any real agency in society. You want to be able to do
Huh.
things like that.
Wonder what's
True
up.
witches then are able to seek
100% tariffs on China,
Yeah.
100% more tariffs on China.
100% more tariffs.
And so just the top 100 estimate by
Huh.
the market, the stock market can't go down by 1.5%.
Wow. You know, let's see what happens, dude.
All of it.
Yeah, they're saying they're willing to crash the country, dude, to keep it white or whatever. You know what I mean? To keep it Anglo-Saxon. So we'll see. No, they say they're willing to crash it all.
Look at it.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Wait.
Yes, sir. That's what the stock market,
All the
all the
stocks.
companies.
But yeah, tariff. I don't even know how you can do that, dude.
You
You
can't.
shouldn't. You can't.
That's the power of the purse, and now he's in foreign like you can't just 100%
That's what we have to
attack 100%. Well, they say it's because it's foreign governments, it's within, but it's really shaky little. That's economic warfare. He's single-handedly waging economic warfare on the world without any oversight by
Yeah,
Congress.
tariffs are
Attack.
Article 1, Section 8 of our Constitution. Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, the power to levy tariffs in Congress.
So I don't know how he's doing it. How can he just say it and then it?
Yeah, no, Congress regulates all
can't.
farmers.
He can't.
He literally can't
literally
do that, dude. So that's what I mean, Joseph. That's what's causing everyone to freak out a little bit. He's doing things he clearly can't. And then people are saying, oh, so it's an Augustus situation where the military is just going to do whatever the fuck it wants.
I'm sorry.
No, this is that stage after Augustus where all pretenses is falling apart. And so
Congress.
the military is just going to do whatever the fuck they want. And if you say you're going to wake up dead, dude, or in prison, what?
It still goes back to COVID. Like, no,
None of that shit was
none
legal.
of that was legal. Like, everyone forgets, and it's just like, no, everything they've done for the last 2020, so 5 years, no, it's
Completely illegal, dude.
Like, they can't
Do that, but
It's
they
not
just
a law.
they
There's
just do it anyways,
like
and yeah, but
and-
that's why we have guns, but no one wants to risk their fucking life, dude.
yeah,
Or
but in high school, you take liberty and law, and it goes over the three branches of government.
yeah, but that's a
Literally.
literal attack. And
Congress passed laws to allow the president to impose tariffs for national security reasons.
when?
Let's see.
George Bush post 9/11, right?
9/11.
Post 9/11, correct?
Post 9/11. It'd have to be.
The complete overthrow.
1962,
Oh, it was 62.
during the Trade Expansion Acts.
But no, that's when it was starting with
Yeah.
Kennedy.
Yeah.
It was starting. The president was becoming more and more powerful. So yeah, blame Congress, I guess, then, dude.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's Congress's fault.
But then that's still
Signed by John F. Kennedy.
So he could take the power. The Congress could pass a new law and take the power away.
which are very critical.
Yeah. So yeah, that's weird that they can't. And one would argue that they can't do that.
They still do.
Just like the Federal Reserve is illegal. Basically, anything designated specifically to the Congress in the Constitution
I was just gonna say
cannot
it-
be delegated
cannot-
out.
There's
Like
another.
to create currency is one of their delegated. So
Yeah.
like if it's specifically a power that's been given to somebody in the
Mhm.
Constitution, you cannot then give that power to somebody else.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I'm pretty sure that's all I was gonna say is that there's something in the Constitution that, like, yeah, I realize they may have signed that and passed that.
But that's the power of the PERT. No, that's the fundamental power of the
That's-
PERT.
Constitutionally,
The Supreme Court should be able to rule that unconstitutional,
constitutionally
and
speaking,
then that should be it.
That
you
should be it.
can't do that still. Like, you can't do
But
that.
yeah, when Supreme Court justices wake up fucking dead with a pillow on their face,
Yeah.
Joseph,
Exactly.
I'm telling you, dude, that's the military is just taking complete control, and it started with Kennedy,
But that's the
Even
Praetorian.
if they do say something,
the Praetorian
That's
Guard.
the Praetorian
The
Guard.
Praetorian Guard has control, dude.
even if they do say something, and then Trump's administration is like, nah, and then everybody listens to Trump's administration and not the Supreme Court, there's
Yep. But no, it's the Praetorian Guard is taking control, and the Emperor is just a simple
But it's
figurehead.
still not legal.
It's
The
still not
point
legal,
is
and they
what
don't
they're
care.
doing is
And more, they won't care till we get to they'll just get to absolute monarchy eventually, Joseph. And it's law because he fucking said so.
yeah, that's not
No, that's where we're going again. Back to it's law because I said so because
then
I've got the biggest gun, dude.
which then takes us back to Jefferson.
Yeah. That is just the
Okay.
cycle. It's been about
It
200
was-
years.
It's
first, what's it called? In 62, that was signed, but then 74, a different act was signed, which basically expanded upon it, which allowed the president to take emergency power over
See,
tariffs.
even
but
more
see,
and more.
these
Yeah.
emergency powers. That's not valid.
No.
It's still not valid.
We're not we're not in an emergency.
No, it's
So
still
Trump declares
not
so
valid.
so the guy who has special emergency powers is also the dude who can just declare an emergency
Anytime.
Yeah.
at any time.
And then that goes back to COVID. Who defines what is an
Emergency. Yeah.
And so then it goes back. So then you have to go all the way back. And yeah, still, according to our Constitution, they can do that. Period.
Oh my God, dude, these guys are fucking killing me. I literally can't see them, dude. No, this is tricky, tricky, tricky.
Don't be an idiot.
No, and it's doing the same shit. Lands me right by me.
You want to get shut up? Ah!
Come on, dude. Come on. Reload. Reload, please. Oh, just camera controls are horrible. All right, make sure we save it. Don't do anything. Don't breathe. Oh yeah, the jetpack is. This is the way to travel, bro.
You got it, man?
I got something.
Let me see. Ooh, everything is different now.
What is it?
But yeah, he
Everything.
crashed the Bitcoin
They
market
will
not
call
long ago
this
either.
year
By announcing
zero.
like 100% tariff
I'll
on
be in touch.
Bitcoin or cryptocurrency
Wait!
or something.
What is... Yeah, see you around.
But yeah, I think the mask is just coming off, Bubs, I think. And then we just got to keep our head above water to figure out what we're going to do, you know? So. Are you listening to that music? Is that you?
Yeah.
What the fuck are
It's
you
a,
listening
it's a
to?
comedian.
Oh.
A comedian-ish type of
Mm.
thing. Don't make fun of my shit, you're playing.
I'm not, but no, that sounded like straight up LL Cool J or something. I
Mhm.
was like, what the fuck is she
But no,
listening
it was, so I'm not even trying to.
to?
But yeah, it's like a comedic act. It's a comedic act mixed with rap.
Well, I'm fucking around. Let me go save. It's around. Okay. Oh, easy, CJ. Easy.
Whatever. I don't come off.
Can't. It doesn't help to hate it, dude. Doesn't help. It doesn't, dude. I was listening to a conspiracy theory today about time traveling AI, and it was a pretty good one, dude. That basically the guy who invents time traveling AI in the future gets a call in the past from the AI. And the AI helps lead him to inventing itself, which creates a weird loop. But
That's the bootstrap paradox.
was it? But it was a good little conspiracy theory. Because the guy was like, "What the fuck? You know, who teaches you how to do this?" The AI, and the AI was like, "You do, bro."
That's the
I'm like, "What?"
that's the classic. If someone travels back in time and gives Einstein's theory of relativity to Einstein as a child,
Mhm.
and then he later publishes that as his own, he teaches,
What I might argue is, if you do that, then you're moving that timeline from a linear timeline to a circle. You've created a circle now, dude. Where before it was going in a straight line. But the first person that meant time travel is going to turn it, and then it'll forever be in a loop after that, right? Well, you don't know. Well, once you invent time travel, it's always a loop. Because you can always go back. You know what I mean? You can always. So now that timeline is like one of those Hot Wheels track. It's got a loop at the end of
Yo,
it.
you dropped a bomb on
So
me.
no matter what, you're going to loop back. And all you're doing is making the loop bigger, going back further. But until you invent time travel, it's going forward.
So that would,
Or you're branching it. You could say it's
I was gonna
branching.
say, that would depend on if A, time travel ever did exist, and B, how it would work. Because there's either, like you said, the branching
Are
theory,
you branching or are you
where,
looping?
because that's like an Avengers Endgame, they're not traveling back to the past really, they're traveling to a different reality that's in the past.
Yeah. And they're trying to maintain that reality. That's why they're trying not to fuck with shit too much. But yeah, it would be, yeah. So no, time travel gets funny. But yeah, you would create a loop.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I'm out. I got the jetpack. I saved it twice. Saved it twice, bro. Now you know why they get so many save slots.
Seek out and acquire satanic powers in order to do evil, and in that evil, they should, according to him, be put to death. If you're trying to do evil through witchcraft, well, you get what's coming to you. But what he calls imaginary witches are basically people LARPing as witches, even going so far as to use flying ointments and charms and trickery to inflate their own sense of power and agency, but without any real desire to make a pact with the devil and do the world any evil. They're just acting out, basically. These imaginary witches, he claims, are growing all the time, mostly as a result of the very trials meant to eliminate them, and thus should be subjected to correction and punishment, but not murder and torture. Now, this analysis is, I think, rather ingenious to my mind, and actually mirrors how the satanic panic of the 1980s and 90s actually did create a subculture of what is now known in the anthropological literature as pseudo-Satanists. Those people actually had aped
Oh,
what
thank
the
you. What you're
witch
doing.
hunters were saying was
Thank you
real
for remembering.
out in metal
Appreciate that.
shows and Dungeons and Dragons. At any rate, Malebranche, while rejecting the flight to the Sabbath as a dream, does suggest the reality of diabolical witchcraft, but notes that, quote, the courts that throw out the indictments of witchcraft as
Take your
most
time and let
equitable.
me love you
Thus, we get
good.
what we should expect from Malebranche, a rationalist priest holding to the theological past with one hand and to the judicial future with another, with something like psychology as a bridge. Leibniz, himself influenced by Kabbalah and co-inventor of the calculus, so you can blame him for that, also says virtually nothing on the topic of witches and witchcraft, though he seems rather orthodox on religious topics, but he also had a penchant for just making sure he was on the up and up, at least in terms of appearances for the sake of court and propriety, more than basically anything else. You can just ask about his revisionist memory of his interactions with Spinoza for more on that. Leibniz, you did Spinoza dirty, and I'll never forgive you for it. However, in his Theodicy, he does praise an early patron of his, Father Spee, the Archbishop Elector of Mainz, for his publication of a book called Cautio Criminalis, which argued for the ceasing of the burning of alleged sorcerers after he, Father Spee, actually escorted several people to the pyre that he knew to be innocent. This would, in turn, inspire the Bishop of Würzburg and also the Archbishop of Mainz, who, as soon as they came to power, to put an end to these burnings, as Leibniz approvingly describes at Theodicy section 97. Thus, while it's not at all clear if Leibniz rejected the reality of witchcraft and pacts with the devil, given his peculiar belief of all these infinite monads reflecting each other, he certainly seems to have wanted to see an end to the executions, and the end of those executions he clearly approved of and thought of as social progress. Joseph Glanville's Sadducismus Triumphatus, which is just an amazing title, Sadducism Triumphant, published in 1681, was one of the final salvos in the defense of the elaborated theory of witchcraft, and it directly inspired the outbreak of the witch hysteria in Salem. However, even in this text, the tide was turning in the direction of material mechanism, whereby Glanville held that the witches and Satan still had operative force through the forces of nature as God had made them, and that those forces of nature were basically mechanical in nature. But given the marvelous nature of these productions, they simply couldn't be caused by any natural human doing, and were thus supernatural in nature. They were basically evil miracles of a certain kind. Glanville himself was a member of the Royal Society, and natural mechanism, inspired by Descartes, was at that time all the rage. And yet, the empirical reality of these super marvels led people like Glanville to defend instances of supernatural causation, and in turn, the reality of witchcraft. Yeah, it's a rather strange outcome, a kind of horseshoe effect. Indeed, Glanville denoted anyone who rejected such instances of witchcraft, and even as hauntings, as modern-day Sadducees, akin to, again, the ancient Jewish philosophy that rejected the existence of angels and demons, along with the existence of the afterlife. But John Webster's The Displaying of Supposed Witchcraft of 1677 led a full attack on the arguments of Glanville, which eventually appeared after his death, after Glanville's death, again in Sadducismus Triumphatus. He breaks with Glanville's theory of natural mechanism, or supernatural mechanism, and suggests that rather than demonic intervention, which upsets natural law, being the culprit of witchcraft and hauntings, that very natural, though occult forces pervade reality, and manipulation of those occult forces are responsible for the marvels associated with witchcraft, magic, demonology, hauntings, etc. Thus, pacts with the devil provide no special boon at all. In fact, they provide nothing at all. They're illusory, and thus Webster dismisses the reality of witchcraft as such, but rather as the result of often incidental manipulation, or the manipulation of those occult forces for reasons that they don't fully understand. Thus, the witch is operative, but not for the reasons that they think they are, or for the reasons that witch hunters think they are. Again, this is a surprising, even shocking reversal. Webster is skeptical of the reality of witchcraft along precisely hermetic and occult lines, like those of the occult philosophy of a Cornelius Agrippa, discussed all the way back at the beginning of this episode. Thus, we have a truly bizarre outcome. Near the end of the 18th century, we find mechanical naturalists defending the existence of the traditional witch belief, and hermetic Neoplatonic devotees of occult philosophy skeptical of the reality of such witches and their power. Of course, Webster may have another motive at work here as well. He was a doctor who employed Paracelsian and other occult means, like the weapon salve, as a means of healing people, and I suspect he just didn't want any of his medical practice associated with witchcraft. Thus, I suspect he sought to distance his own hermetic medicine from the alleged wiles of diabolical witchery. Finally, I just want to introduce in a very cursory way the important work of Balthasar Becker. In fact, I just want to do a whole episode on him in the future, so let this be a placeholder for it. His 1695 book, The World Bewitched, translated eventually into German, French, and English, of which he signed copies, by the way, which is relatively unusual in the early modern period, was among the final and most decisive blows against the elaborated theory of witchcraft. In fact, this episode is somewhat bookended by two Dutchmen, Johann Weyer and Becker, who took Weyer's analysis to its, I think, logical conclusion, arguing against virtually every aspect of the elaborated theory of witchcraft over several hundred densely packed pages. Indeed, Becker reduced the devil to nothing more than a symbol of evil, robbing Satan of any substantial reality, much less the ability to make pacts with so-called witches. Relying on his very Calvinist theology and his Cartesian philosophy, Becker magnified the power of God such that the devil was reduced to mere symbolism. Combining scriptural analysis, the emerging scientific worldview, and the new Cartesian philosophy, Becker just systematically demolishes the major positions held in the elaborated theory of witchcraft, and moreover, he was wanting to put witch hunting to an end once and for all. Indeed, he argues that those making accusations of witchcraft, they should be the ones being punished. And for his trouble, he was, of course you can imagine what's about to happen, for his trouble he was subject effectively to excommunication, which is not the worst thing, all things told, and put on trial for a range of crimes against the church and state. He was ultimately acquitted, thank goodness, and he was able to maintain his state pay from the city of Amsterdam, and his book became one of the final nails in the coffin of the witch trials. But of course, trials and even executions would continue up into the 18th century, late in the 1770s, but became rarer and increasingly subject to ecclesiastical, juridical, and public outcry.
Are we done?
Becker, in some sense, marks
Done,
the
Goblin
end
Troll Boy?
of any
Done?
real intellectual defense of witches, witchcraft, and diabolism. Philosophical
Timer
modernity was
ticking down. How long do I got now before you fucking troll me,
early
bro?
modern witch hunts. And as we've seen, nearly
How long do
all
I
of
have
these
now before you
philosophers were
fucking troll the shit out of me?
privately skeptical of the reality of witchcraft, and even of the reality of Satan and the demons, and therefore of the necessity of these trials. But with only
Not
a few
very.
exceptions,
Very
few
long.
had the moral and intellectual courage to publicly rail against a nightmarish
Oh, you got right on the
injustice they
shoulder, you know.
experienced all around
Stay
them.
out of the other.
But of course, it's easy to moralize from a historical distance, and yet, my having survived a satanic panic myself and living in the early days of a new one, right now, there are lessons here for those that care at all about not reliving the horrors of the past. In this episode, frankly, like all my episodes on the history and development of the elaborated theory of witchcraft, the institution of the Inquisition, and the frenzy of the early modern witch trials, they're all made in the service of learning from that past. And as evidenced in this episode, philosophers and intellectuals are not in the least exempt from learning those lessons. Of course, more on the demonologists and witchcraft and the intellectual, philosophical, and spiritual esoteric currents that created the very modernity that we all dwell in, for better and for worse. I've included some links in the description if you want to learn more about these topics in witchcraft and Inquisition. But until soon, Dr. Justin Sledge, and thank you for watching Esoterica, where we explore the arcane in history, philosophy, and religion.
Okay.
Hello, can I, hi, how, may I, hey, Beavis, what's that thing we're supposed to say? Oh, hey, I think it's, bunghole. You want, like, some food or something?
No, I want your money.
Will that be all for you today?
Now! Empty the drawer!
Empty my drawers?
I've got a gun, idiot! This is a robbery!
Whoa, cool. Hey, Beavis, this dude says he's got a gun. Cool. Tell him to go home and get it.
It's in my pants. Don't make me take it out.
Whip it out.
Please don't do me wrong here, dude.
Okay.
Please don't do me wrong here. I think it's doing me wrong here.
Damn! It's the cops! Damn it!
Yeah, really.
Yeah, the
Damn it.
mini-map works against you, dude.
What's that
Mini-map
dumb
literally
again?
works
He
as
probably
your
wants
enemy.
another free refill.
Alright, listen, I
Use
work
the
here, you got
mini-map
it?
to see
It's
your
my first day, you're
turns coming up,
training
but
me.
you can't do
Don't screw up.
long-range
Remember, I got a
navigating
gun.
with it.
What was
It's
that
punishing
gun
you
part again?
every time you do that.
Hey, fill it, and not so much ice this time. Do you work here?
No,
What's
it's
where you're pointing
impressive how
at?
deceptive that
What are
mini
you
map
doing
can
back
be. How
there?
they, the size of the map it
Tell 'em.
shows and how they set the
Told you
roads
to
up to
stop
make
that,
you think
wipe.
a
Whip
road
it out,
goes
buddy.
this way on your mini map, but then it ends
It's
up
my first
turning.
day on the
No,
job.
it's literally
And
like
this kid's training me.
it's well designed. Like they
Could you
literally
tell the wipe to quit pointing his gun at
designed
me?
it to work against you.
Freeze, scumbag!
That's a trip
Congratulations. You boys just made a citizen's
to where you
arrest.
constantly got to go back into
Really?
your pause menu.
Yeah,
Yep,
cool.
and double check, make sure you're on the right road. Huh.
That cop said we can just, like, bust people and stuff? Because we're, like, citizens? Yeah, cool. We're citizens now. Citizens. Beware the long arm of Butthead. Beware the long wiener of Beavis.
Yes?
Excuse me, sir. We're citizens.
So?
How old are you, sir?
What?
Yeah, well, I think you're old enough to know better. Can you step out of the car, please?
Why? What's this all about?
Hey, we'll ask the question, sir.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. Youngblood #1 is coming out with a lot of covers. But we have somebody asking about this. 27 covers for this Youngblood comic. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. But really quickly, I want to address something that some of you have been saying in the comments. And this is kind of more of a universal take. There's a specific example, but this is a universal take. And this is the thing that everybody conveniently leaves out when they decide to post something that I said on Kiwi Farms. They which is rare, thankfully, or they do some kind of reaction video or something. I recently made a comment about how puzzling it was that these Netflix shows that have been canceled for several years, it's like somebody found out they existed yesterday. And they're going like, this is an outrage. They're grooming your children. And it's like, yeah, those shows are canceled, though. And some of you, correctly, by the way, have said, yeah, but it's a streaming service. They're still there, right? It's not new, but it's still there. That's also true. That's very true. Now, being still there means you do not get the marketing and the other material that happens in the first couple weeks that something's released. So it's kind of sitting there in a giant library collecting dust. But it can still be found. You are absolutely right. My issue with the whole thing is not people finding out. It's the lack of context. And this is actually a pretty, significant deal that all of you should care about. Because if you're going to be angry about something or you're going to chase something, then at least be fully right about it. Don't leave off kind of important facts. So, for example, in all the posts of can you believe they're grooming your children with this content on Netflix? It's very easy to add a line saying, even though it was canceled 2 years ago, it's still available today. See, that is context that actually, makes the whole thing factual. But by leaving that off, you basically are you're basically playing to a bunch of rubes who thinks that this stuff is still being mass produced out, or that it is omnipresent as opposed to a scene in a movie. There's just it helps. It doesn't make it less of a problem. If you're upset about it, you still gonna be upset about it, but it just makes it true. It makes it fully true, as opposed to leaving off some bits. When you start leaving off bits, then no pun intended. When you start not saying the whole story, then people wonder, well, okay, so how factual is your claim? And it diminishes what you're trying to do. And I think this happens in comic books all the time. People conveniently leave out one piece of the story because it doesn't make their slam dunk as clean as it would if it was all there. But it's better because then you have truth on your side. You have the full accuracy on your side. And that is a more defensible position. It helps. It means that, people might have to think an extra second in order to understand your point, but it's better. And I don't want to live in a world where we don't give a shit about the details and the facts and the context. That is a dumbass world filled with dumbass people who just react to everything and don't worry about this stuff. The disingenuous nature of this stuff is crap. And do you enjoy being played? Because that's what happens when people give you little bits, but they don't give you the full story, and they expect you to get angry and run off and start shouting and get your torches and everything else. Give the full story. That's it. That's my push. Is I want that. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense to all of you. Let's get to this covers thing. Bunch of people. I clicked on a video for Youngblood, and I got yes. Welcome to the bit. 4,000 videos later, you know what you're in for. Dear Perch, or should I say Cosmic Stage Extraordinaire? Oh, there you go. That was fancy. Hope this email finds you knee-deep in a stack of fresh issues and not buried under a pile of variant covers. I had to reach out with you with a fun brain teaser on brand management and marketing, given your expertise as a retailer, reader, collector. Specifically, how do indie creators juggle a launch or relaunch of a property while paying for, that sweet press coverage? A recent Hollywood Reporter piece on Rob Liefeld's Youngblood relaunch. Well, actually, real quick, let me address one of those things. If you're an indie creator, and by the way, this would work for some of you who are just doing crowdfunding on your own. Here's a secret unlock tip. A lot of these news sites, you can write the article yourself. Like they are so desperate for content. Variety, for example, you could be a writer for Variety right now. A number of these sites, there's being official member of Variety, and then there's like guest columns. They're just desperate for content. Go look in these submitting my content. You'll discover that several of these sites basically proofread it for, obscenities and things are going to get them sued, and off it goes. Tons of people use it for product launches. If you go to, news sites like CNN, you'll see like sponsored articles in there. They're labeled, but you'll see it in there. And it's basically whoever made that product is written an article about how great the product is or how hot or in demand it is. If you have a comic and it's got any unique twist at all, like it's sci-fi, but in this one we've got twins that are the protagonist. I don't know anyway, if you have any kind of unique spin at all on your comic, and chance, or you do, you can write one of these articles, you could get in there. Will a lot of people see it? No. However, you will get, it will be picked up through SEO if the site has anything going on, and you can ride that to make things look a lot bigger than they are. Okay? It doesn't work if you're for the big two, because Marvel and DC want to control that. But if you're an indie creator, you should do this. It's free, literally free. I mean, it's your time. Time isn't free, but otherwise free. Anyway, back to mail. It says a recent Hollywood Reporter piece on Rob Liefeld's Youngblood relaunch got me thinking. On one hand, it's Hype City with 27 retail variant covers. Jesus Christ. And vague innuendo about his whatnot sales for an extremely different Youngblood comic. But the article spills the beans on those retailer minimums for the exclusive covers. Images starting at 500 copies. Rob is pushing for 750 and maybe landing somewhere in the middle like 600. It'll be 500. Does that kind of transparency help build buzz for the property, or does it accidentally deflate the balloon by making it seem a tad accessible?
One of my kids at the pool.
I mean, I don't think it's good.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, and by the way, you've seen creators from the big two, from the indies, kind of brag about it. We sold 100,000 copies. You did. Guess how? This way. You created variant covers. And that required a minimum buy-in. And if your property's big enough, if you have like a Spider-Man or a Batman, you could say this is a 5,000 variant cover, order, and you get 20 of those, and they add up pretty quick.
Like when you see outside,
I know what
where
so
you
had got
10. It was hilarious.
Is 10 5,000 variant cover copy sales. Well, guess what? That's 50,000 copies right there, which is more than the print run of most comics, just for retail exclusive variants. So is that gaming the system? Fuck yes, it is gaming the system, absolutely. And I don't know, so next time you see those big numbers. Is your brain going to go to, wow, this must be a great comic, a lot of people are buying into it? Or is it going to go to, I wonder how many variant covers they sold as exclusives? I think that second
It
one is
was
not
just
helpful.
funny, me and him both
I
like
say as the
standing
guy
in the
who in the
middle,
early
both
90s is
staring
like,
at each
I
other.
think all these
Like,
bag and
what in
gimmick
the
covers is
world?
not going to be. I have a feeling like this is not going to help us long term. I don't know. Call me crazy. Anyway,
Well, I'll
back to
see you
announcers.
in
I mean,
2 days.
Rod's out there boasting about Youngblood being number
Yeah,
one
I'll
back in
see
the
you in
day
2
and
days.
launching Image Comics, which he's entitled to keep repeating historically, but it
I
starts
think
to
the
sound
gun
like Al
was
Bundy
the game
reminding
was
everyone of 4
punishing me for
touchdowns
not
for
using
once
more
scored in a high
powerful
school
weapons.
football
I
game.
Mm.
Looking at Image Comics today, I see the majority of titles coming from Skybound, McFarlane, and Ghost Machine, with a market share driven more by the volume of output and less by the volume of success.
I'm supposed to be using
Image
more
hasn't been
expensive,
extreme in decades.
powerful weapons
Furthermore,
now.
is leaning into that
I'm
nostalgia a
still
smart
using
marketing
like the
win,
starting
or
weapons.
does it risk highlighting how much things have changed? Image Comics has announced a line-wide promotion angle, slapping Youngblood vibes across multiple titles. Genius cross-pollination or total overkill? Reminds me of what was tried with the most recent Spawn Batman crossover before Image
That's where
switched
the
to Luna
uncanny
for
is, 'cause
distribution.
they're trying to
Did
enforce
that boost
rule.
Spawn's brand without overwhelming the fans, or was it a mixed
Then they
bag?
get to where they have to
Thanks for
cheat
being all you
to
do and
enforce
sharing
it. Like
insights
they
with us.
can't
There's a
do
link
it
to the
with
article.
code, so they end
Look,
up
I think,
cheating
I mean, you know,
to try to
promotions,
enforce
why
these
not?
rules.
I mean, you know, you do some marketing. I think that
And they can't make it
the thing
work
about
with like
nostalgia
you know what I
is
mean?
it's a powerful weapon
It's like
that
the
has
DM
a
stepping in when the
cliff to it.
dungeon
So
master has to
it's
step
one of those
in and
things where you can
keep things moving
it can help
along.
you can get people using member berries and kind of getting some you know, wanting to buy into something or be part of something because of the way it makes them feel and the memories it invokes. But you can it's like if you push it too far, it's not a gradual descent. It falls off completely. People are tuned on some level to being manipulated. Thus, kind of the start of this video. But anyway, if you push them too much, they will feel like this is a very manufactured nostalgia, and what you want to have is organic nostalgia. I think with Youngblood, I mean, look, you know, I opened the boxes of Youngblood back in the day. I put it on the shelves. It did well. It got demolished by Wildcats later. But it, you know, it was a big seller, and then it was delayed like fucking crazy, and that popped the balloon really quickly. I think if you really want to do nostalgia for Youngblood, you would do this whole big promotion right now.
Behold, no man's land.
Man, y'all take this shit seriously.
Berkeley's headquarters is across no man's land. I'll drive the... Carl, don't be an idiot. Use the goblin to move that barrel.
Come on, dude. What button is it, dude? Come on. What button is it? Am I not up enough?
Carl, I'm blocked.
Come on, dude. What button is it? Use the camera to look around the helicopter. Dude, what button is it, dude?
There's another cursed barrel in the way.
Alt. Okay, it's fucking alt. Wow. Okay. It is fucking alt. Okay. It's fucking alt. Everything is so drifty. Oh, and he went around it. Okay, bridge. Yep. Bridge. Up.
Get a plank from our base and make a bridge across that gap.
Up. Forward. Yeah, in the game, dude.
Get me a plank to cross that river. Carl, there's no bridge. There's no bridge.
What is happening right now?
Carl, I need a bridge now. Berkeley's using tanks. Carl, grab a bomb and get rid of any tanks that threaten our progress.
Okay, so it wasn't all that time? Oh my God, what is happening, dude? Okay. Where's that? Okay, I can't fucking see, dude. Okay, okay, can't see, dude. I can't see, dude. I can't see. I can't see. Okay, move, move, move. Why are you not moving? Why? Okay, okay, dude. This is shoot. No, it's just tricky, tricky, tricky. I guess because it's a helicopter. That's its justification for it. Yep, it's just fuck, dude.
Move it.
This is
Carl, Berkeley's blocked me again.
it. Really punishes people who don't have the keyboard memorized.
Curse you, Berkeley! Carl, move that barrel! Carl, move that obstruction.
I'm literally looking at my shit, dude, as it moves. I can't see. I can't see shit, dude.
Carl, I'm blocked.
Can't see shit.
There's another cursed barrel in the way.
What are you doing? I just want you to move forward, dude. I don't want you to swing the camera down.
Shitskis! Carl, this bandit's nearly had it.
What am I supposed to do?
Oh my God. Berkeley shot this bandit up pretty good. Shite! Carl, this bandit's nearly had it. Shitskis! Carl, this bandit's nearly had it. You let Berkeley blow up my bandit! Luckily, we still have 2 bandits left. Move it! Carl, Berkeley's blocked me again.
Can't.
Curse you,
It's not
Berkeley!
letting me move, dude.
Carl,
Okay.
move that barrel.
Can't.
Carl, move that obstruction.
Fuck. Move what obstruction, dude? What is happening right now? I can't see. I didn't kill the tank. What
Carl,
the
I'm
fuck?
blocked.
Mom, this is... Ooh. That's pretty bad, dude. That is pretty bad.
There's another cursed barrel in the way.
I'm waiting for the
Move it.
camera to
Carl,
swing, dude.
Berkeley's
I'm
blocked
waiting
me
for the
again.
camera to swing, dude. What do you mean he blocked you? What are you talking about, dude?
Curse you, Berkeley! Carl, move that barrel.
What barrel, dude? Oh,
Carl, move that obstruction.
Oh my God, all the way back at the beginning. This is horrible, dude.
Carl, I'm blocked.
This is thoroughly unenjoyable, like not even close to enjoyable, dude. Like this isn't even close to enjoyable.
There's another cursed
What in
barrel
the
in the way.
fuck is happening right now, dude? No, it's like not even close to enjoyable, dude. This gameplay. How the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Berkeley.
No,
This is
dude, it's
not
a
the end
lot
of
of
this.
buttons,
Do
dude.
you hear me?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 9. 9 buttons, dude. It's fucking 9 buttons, Nicole. And you're doing this. You're tapping all of them in response, and it's drifty. 9 fucking buttons, dude.
Yeah.
I've got one time on my ass, man.
This is why the whole industry's crashing, dude. It's been building for 20 years, this shit right here. And then being stubborn and not changing it and us just getting burnt out and walking away. I can't do this anymore, dude. I can't. This is like it's not even fucking fun, dude. Like it's anti-intuitive. The camera won't even lock onto the fucking helicopter when I turn. What was your justification for that, dude? So I gotta go. So no, now I gotta figure it out, right? Or I gotta go online to someone else who fucking rammed his head against the wall till he figured out exactly what you wanted.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's been like,
The crossword puzzle. 20 years, no, and it's all it all came crashing down, dude, because you guys just couldn't stop. Like, why are you doing this?
yeah. But yeah, I don't.
Why is it so unenjoyable, dude?
I don't know what to say. I just know that I've been saying this for a long time with you. Like, yeah, it's a game, and if it's not fun, like, and
I
most of them
I
are
know,
not,
I know.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, don't play them. That's what you're saying. That's not an answer.
I know,
I know.
I know, it's not an answer.
Not going to the ball field is not, and staying inside on the couch is not an answer.
Mhm.
Just
I
don't
know.
play is not an
No,
answer.
I'm just saying, no, it's a problem because they're not fun.
I know, but I'm just
Um,
saying, but telling me, well, then don't play is not,
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're not fun.
yeah, I know. So am I.
That's all I'm saying. They're
Yeah,
not fun.
no. So,
I don't see how much, like, even the percentages of times that you have fun, like, if I'm looking at as a neutral observer, that percentage is way fucking off.
Now and then have the
The
title be 3
percentage
months
of
late.
fun
That would
to
be
the
that would be
percentage
the most nostalgia I could
mhm.
think of.
angry,
But
frustrated,
you know,
like,
on the other
it's
hand, like,
way.
look, I'm
So I
nitpicking at
don't
this
know what
point.
the
You know,
developers are
is some good
doing,
marketing and buzz and hype for this stuff
but
good?
they're
Sure,
way off.
sure.
I'm just
You know,
saying.
is 27 covers
And we
unhealthy?
were just
Yes. I
talking
mean,
about Super
hell
Mario
yes.
Brothers, and
I
I
understand the
remember
logic
having
of,
to
well, if
repeat
people want
that
to buy
shit
it,
Well,
I'm
they
like,
don't sell
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
That's
I
okay. I
no,
know.
mean,
that's the
yeah,
deal.
sure. If
Mario
people want to buy
Brothers
it, sure.
doesn't sell anymore,
But
and then I can just
there
play
is a
Mario
point
Brothers.
where
I didn't need 20 more
you're hurting
years of
yourself
new
by
levels.
just completely
Hmm.
kind of,
Like, I get it.
I was
Like,
gonna
I
say
don't
going
need
back to
another
the well so many
crossword
times. This is a little
puzzle.
bit like you're raping the well.
And
That's
they
not going
keep
to do well
printing new
for YouTube's
crossword
monetization.
puzzles. And I'm
Anyway,
like, I'm kind of
um,
burnt out on
I
crossword puzzles,
I think
dude.
that
Can we do? So,
the
yeah,
line, you
that's,
know, it's fun to do fun things. And certainly Marvel
is
and
it
DC have done
interactive
line promotions with
entertainment
their variant
or is
covers
it
for all
a
kinds of
game
stuff.
like Mario
And so, you know,
Brothers?
really
Is it a
images just
puzzle?
following suit.
What are we doing here exactly,
That's
dude?
fine.
Is it
You can buy into
simulation?
it, you cannot buy into it. I don't know. I mean, there's
Are you
people that have
trying to
fond
say
memories of
flying
Youngblood, you
drones
know,
is
to be
very
sure.
difficult?
But
So,
I don't know that
so
it's
anyways, it just
I don't know that it's not the perfect form of
I
nostalgia.
wonder if they gave you a little
I
button
think
that
that
said
there's probably
mission
more
passed.
nostalgia for the before-mentioned
How many
Wildcats. I think
people would
there's more
click it?
nostalgia for something like Spawn.
How long
I think
until they click
Youngblood, it
fucking
has been relaunched so
pass?
many times in the
A lot.
past. It's had so many different
And they
iterations.
don't want to know the truth of
Remember
that.
that really
Just give them
crazy
the
one where they'd all
option to
do in
say,
Coke?
hey, mission pass. I
That was
don't want to
that
do
was a fun
this.
time,
This
I
is
which
can
not
one
tell
was.
you
fun.
from teaching
Um,
school.
Shit ton of
Yeah.
Ever
no,
wondered what your home looks like from
Most
just
of them
space?
will
just
hit
pass.
mission pass.
I don't want to do this. This pass.
Yeah.
You know,
you know, in general,
90%.
good for
of
them
them
for
would
trying
be. I don't.
something.
It's not fun, dude.
It's kind of a
The
blunt
shit you
instrument
made isn't
approach,
fun and it's
but you
frustrating.
know, this is comics,
Yeah,
so
they're
what do you
pretty
expect?
mission pass.
I guess it's
You're
you know,
using the fun parts
unfortunately
against
in
me.
I said
That's
you know
only
like
you're
a bunch of
feeding
times.
me just enough
You
fun
know,
to then dip me back
could be
down
better.
into the low.
But
It's the
glad
high,
that there's
the
some
slot
energy
machine.
and
You're just
there's
doing the
something that
high-low
people are
algorithm.
trying. We need to be trying
Until I'm
things right
so
now, and you
brokenhearted
know,
and
is
dispirited, I
Youngblood gonna
walk
save
out of the
the
fucking
universe?
casino
No,
and I
but
don't
you know, it
come
might make
back,
for an interesting
dude.
month where
And I don't buy
all
a
this stuff pops at
PS5.
once. I think the big question
And
for
I didn't play
Youngblood, if we're
Vice
gonna
City
relaunch it, is
after San
all
Andreas.
right. So have
I
you
didn't
got
play another
issues
fucking
2 through 5
GTA for
already
how
in the
long,
bag,
dude?
or you know, is this going to be a case of issue 1's going to come out and then there'll be some
I
indeterminate
skipped
wait
Vice City because I
for the
couldn't
second
finish San
issue, and
Andreas.
at the end of the day, will it matter?
So why?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to
Hey,
be so
here's hoping
passionate
anyway.
about it. It's just
But
I've
yeah,
lived
too many
this
variant
too the
covers.
last 20 years.
Thanks for
I've been
listening.
on the.
I know, and I'm just saying. So yeah, you can't say the same.
I know. I just.
I've heard that.
I know.
All right. So what do you
I'm
want your
sorry
future
you're
husband
mad
to
at me
look
to
like?
say, yeah, I've heard that. I don't just want to hear
handsome.
you say the same
Just
thing. We'll
handsome.
quit
That's all you care about.
playing
Yeah. Well, and smart.
again.
That's not
Handsome,
what I'm
smart. In
saying.
which order? Handsome
That's what I'm
first or
telling you.
smart first?
Smart first.
I'm just saying
Really?
there's something
Okay.
wrong,
He had a
Mm-hmm.
college degree
Yep.
as a doctor.
which is what
A
I've been
college
saying.
degree as
They
what?
got worse. They went Bloodborne, dude. They did dark side. It
That's
got
So you would be
what
married
I'm
to a
worse.
saying.
doctor. Is that
The
because you want your
fucking
husband to be
dude,
out of
I've
the house
got
a
like
lot?
80 videos
No.
in that
No?
of that game and
Just
not
like
even
a
get
job that
past the
makes
first
him rich.
boss.
A job that makes him rich?
Because
That's
like
what I'm
if
saying.
I'm
Until
a
I
teacher,
finally had to
they
quit.
don't
Fuck,
they
I
don't
had
get
to
paid.
quit
They
playing.
get like
I
paid
couldn't
like
play it anymore,
24
dude.
hours
Yeah,
a day.
so no.
So you're basically looking for a guy who's going to pay all your bills?
Yeah.
That's great.
So,
Um,
but no, they went more
you're not going to contribute.
hardcore. They
What
went
if you find
more,
somebody you really love and
No.
he's really smart,
well,
but he's poor?
Depends.
Depends on what.
and then they went battle royale. Let
Most
me
of the
run
times.
around for 10
But
minutes
if
and
he's
then I get
poor, what do
shot.
you do?
We'll have to
So
find a new
anyways, it's
job.
a weird deal.
You will?
No,
So
he
it's
will.
just
He
frustrating.
will. Okay.
Me? Why would I have to find a new job? I'm the lady.
Yeah, you don't sound much like a lady
Just,
talking
it's
like that.
confusing when like it's legendary how
That's not
shitty that
rude.
fucking
Okay, I'm
mission
raising you very
is,
badly
and
if
you
this is
left
what
it
you
in the
think.
game, dude.
What's happening?
Like someone's so stubborn, I
Behold.
guess, just so
No
fucking
man.
stubborn. So
Man, y'all take this shit
they're
seriously.
like, dude, none
Berkeley's
of that shit
headquarters
was
is
fun at
across
the end
no
of the
man's
game,
land.
dude. None of it
I'll
was
drive the
fun,
bandit, you
dude.
fly the goblin, and help any way.
Hannibal crossed the Alps with the intention of fulfilling a sacred childhood oath to see Rome vanquished. His decision would plunge the Republic into a prolonged war for its very
Carl,
survival,
don't be an idiot.
bringing
Use the goblin to
devastation
move
to the
that
entire
barrel.
Mediterranean and ultimately resulting in ruinous consequences for Carthage. When hostilities ceased in 201, Rome's victory brought with it unprecedented new wealth and commercial opportunities. But though it would have been apparent to few at the time, these rewards would prove to be a poisoned chalice for the Republic. Rome's triumph had come at a great cost, not just in lives lost, but in a fundamental restructuring of Roman society, which had been required to achieve and maintain a posture of total war for nearly 2 decades. But more significant changes were still
Get
to
a
come.
plank from our base and
The
make a bridge
destruction
across that
wrought
gap.
by Hannibal led to the decline of the class of freeholding Italian farmers that formed the core of the legions and their allies, as Romans and Italians
Come on,
alike
dude.
served
Come on,
as
dude. Why is
their
it so
terms
difficult?
upon demobilization.
I don't
Many
understand
decided
sometimes
to
why it
sell the
becomes so
land and
difficult to
migrate to
do
cities as they
Do
were
this
unable
shit.
to invest the capital necessary to
That's
bring
too
their
many
land
buttons or
back
something.
up to
Yep.
its productive
Just your
capacity.
brain is short-circuiting.
Naturally,
And then
those
it
with
turns
the
in
Berkeley's using
different
resources to
tanks.
directions.
accept
And
these
Carl,
it's
around the
according to
short-term
bomb to get rid of
direction,
any
and
tanks that
long-term
threaten our
gains
your
were the
progress.
helicopter's
wealthiest
face,
members
the
of
buttons
Roman
change.
society.
You know what I mean? Which way
So
you got?
the largest states
Oh,
became
no, it's
even
just.
larger,
I'm sorry to
and
get
free labor
frustrated.
was gradually replaced by
Take
the
it on,
massive
but yeah,
influx
just
of foreign
I
slaves
can't
the
go down,
legions had
dude. Yep.
captured in their conquests. It was the
It's
brutal
very, very,
exploitation
very
of these
frustrating.
foreign
I'm staring straight
conquests
at my
from the
helicopter
conclusion
bomb as
of
I
the
fly.
Second Punic War
And the
onwards,
camera will not.
which
I've got to
injected
fly
new
like
wealth
fucking
and
halfway
also
across the
cultural
map before my
influences
camera
into Roman
eventually will
life
swing
as
around
the
behind me,
Republic
dude.
evolved from a regional power into an overtly imperial state. We must stress that this transformation was not merely one of scale that came with new territory and resources, but was one of scope. The economic revolution brought about a fundamental shift in economic organization and class dynamics, the influences of which, combined with the domestic trends already underway to greatly increase the complexity and stratification of Roman society, so that within a few decades the composition of
Come on,
Rome's
dude.
productive
Alt.
base
Thank you.
diverged significantly from the simpler agrarian-based economy of earlier periods. A direct through line can be drawn from the far-reaching impact of these social, political, and economic changes to the Republic's eventual collapse. Political revolution was the natural consequence of the economic revolution. For the acquisition of new territory resulted not just in increased production, but also in greater differentiation and specialization of Roman agriculture. Because Rome began importing more cheap grain from the provinces, large landowners increasingly turned their attention away from dietary staples and towards more profitable crops, such as wine and olive oil. Subsistence farmers and even small landowners were increasingly unable to compete,
Carl, this bandit's
exacerbating
nearly
the
had it.
growing divide among agricultural producers that was already well underway with the growing importation of foreign slaves.
Oh my
The
god.
virtually
Berkeley shot
limitless
this
supply
bandit up
of
pretty
cheap
good.
labor comprised of the enslaved and an ever-increasing pool of disenfranchised provincials would also encourage
Shite!
the elite to
Carl,
diversify
this
their
bandit's
revenue
nearly had it.
streams by investing in industrial enterprises. With the legions securing access to new markets on favorable
Carl,
terms,
there's no
Roman
bridge.
merchants
There's no
and
bridge.
moneylenders could accumulate wealth that far surpassed what their forefathers had been capable of achieving. Naturally, these changes to the economic
Carl,
base
I need a bridge,
directly
now.
impacted the superstructure of Roman society. The replacement of a primarily agrarian economy with one that was increasingly
Get me a plank to
money-based
cross
and
that river.
financially fluid would alter societal norms and values to accommodate the new streams of accumulation and accept cultural,
Carl,
religious,
there's
and
no bridge.
political
There's
influences
no bridge.
from across the Republic's
Okay,
increasingly
that's-
diverse empire.
As far as I can.
Wealth and cosmopolitanism became intertwined,
Shitskis!
with Greek
Carl, this
learning
bandit's nearly
becoming
had it.
increasingly fashionable, and a new appetite for the luxuries of the East that were now within reach for the nouveau riche Romans.
Oh my
But
god.
not all were
Berkeley
ready
shot
to
this bandit
accept
up
these
pretty good.
changes, and the stubborn refusal to diverge from the sacred traditions of the past is personified in Cato the
Shite!
Elder,
Carl,
a man who
this bandit's
relished
nearly had
nothing
it.
more than lording his own simple living and unwavering devotion to the ways of the ancestors over those who embraced the ostentatious luxuries
Shitskis!
that
Carl,
their
this bandit's
newfound
nearly
wealth
had it.
and influence afforded them.
You let Berkeley
Cato's
blow up
political
my
ideology
bandit.
was shaped by
Luckily,
a
we still
profound
have 2
distrust
bandits left.
of the ongoing cultural and economic transformations that threatened what he viewed as the glorious traditions of the Republic. And he found it baffling that new generations of Romans would seek to emulate the cultures and peoples that Rome had conquered. After all, hadn't their defeat at the hands of the legions been all the proof that was required to invalidate the merits of their society? Or, in the words of Cato's role model, Manius Curius, that it was better not to possess gold, but to possess those who possessed the gold. This naturally brought him into direct conflict with the new class of aristocrats that championed Hellenism, chief among them Scipio Africanus. They sang the praises of Greek art, literature, and philosophy, but to Cato, these trappings of civilization were
Carl,
pure
I'm
decadence,
blocked.
and only threatened to impede Rome and undermine what he perceived as the stalwart foundations of the Republic on the virtues of
There's
the
another
smallholding
cursed
farmer.
barrel in the way.
For Cato did not just find Greek culture personally unappealing, but he sought to remove its
Where,
influence
dude?
from Roman
Where,
society
dude?
entirely.
Carl,
He
Berkeley's
saw
blocked me again.
Hellenism as a
Where you
corrosive
at, dude?
force that threatened the simplicity and sacredness of
Oh my
Roman
God.
life and morals. He
Curse
was
you,
wholly
Berkeley!
averse to
Carl,
philosophy
move that barrel!
and made mock of all Greek culture and training out of patriotic zeal. He says, for instance, that Socrates
Carl,
was a
move that
mighty
obstruction.
prattler who attempted, as best he could, to be his country's tyrant
Come on,
by
dude.
abolishing its customs and by enticing his fellow citizens
Carl,
into
I'm blocked.
opinions contrary to the laws. He made fun of the school of Isocrates, declaring that his pupils kept on studying
There's
with him
another
till
cursed
they were
barrel in the
old
way.
men, as if they were to practice their arts and plead their cases before Minos in Hades.
Come on, dude.
And, seeking to
Move it.
prejudice his
Carl,
son
Berkeley's blocked
against
me
Greek
again.
culture,
No, he
he
hasn't.
indulges in an utterance all too rash for his years, declaring, in the tone of a prophet or a seer, that
Curse
Rome
you,
would
Berkeley!
lose her empire
Carl,
when
move
she
that
had
barrel!
become infected with Greek letters. Cato would attack displays of wealth and luxury
Carl,
with a
move
similar
that obstruction.
enthusiasm, committing himself to dressing simply and living in a relatively modest home. To Cato, morality was synonymous
It's always one
with
lazy
personal
soldier who lets
austerity
the whole
and
side
commitment
down,
to Roman
isn't it, Carl?
traditions. He viewed service to Rome as
Dude,
a
he was
cultural,
right there.
religious
Gotta run it
obligation.
one more time.
And throughout his
Yeah,
entire
you
public
just
career,
you have to have it
he never
memorized
wavered
basically
from his
beforehand.
commitment. His
Just like Mario
tumultuous
Brothers.
tenure as censor brought
You
him
gotta have
into
the pattern,
conflict
everything
with senators
memorized, and
and
then you
equestrians,
gotta exercise
who he
it.
regarded as too
Or-
preoccupied with luxurious
I'm off
living
to
to
engage
make
with
And it
progress.
makes
destiny.
sense.
Good
That's what they would say.
What
It's
the
the
hell are
geek.
you talking about now?
From the Senate for
The
kissing
dude
his
is literally
wife
the
in
geek
public.
in the
His
story.
stand against what he
He owns
viewed
a
as a
remote control
corrupt elite
store,
that
so the
was
gameplay
betraying founding
matches
Roman
the.
values
You
endeared
just
him
gotta
to the
memorize
masses.
it.
And Cato
It's super
enjoyed a
frustrating,
remarkably
and yeah,
successful
isn't that?
political
I guess
career,
what they're trying to
even
say.
becoming the first in his family
And
to
yeah,
achieve
flying a
the
jetpack is
consulship,
hard.
making him a novus homo and securing eternal distinction for
Whatever
his
they're trying to say, but
descendants.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cato was proof that successful
Don't
populism
me.
need not actually offer any concessions to the downtrodden or the working class, that simply representing a recognizable alternative to a corrupt and hated elite would suffice. Though he adopted anti-populist rhetoric, such as when he
Come on, dude.
inveighed
Don't be
against
an
a
idiot. Use
proposed
the
corn
goblin to move that
distribution
barrel.
program by saying,
Trying, dude. Trying.
"It is a hard matter, my fellow citizens, to argue with the belly, since it has no ears." He was popular. His assent was proof that cultural grievances and general malaise could be channeled all the way to the consulship itself. If you're enjoying this video, please do us a favor by liking, commenting, and subscribing. We're a small channel, and this is the only way to get the almighty YouTube algorithm to notice us. Furthermore, you can help TribuneIt become more sustainable by becoming a member for as little as 99 cents a month. Thank you for all of your support. But, despite Cato's commitments to
I'm
halting
blocked.
what he perceived as the decline of Roman morals and traditions in the face of foreign influence, his efforts would ultimately prove
There's
unsuccessful,
another cursed
and he
barrel
is
in the
seen
way.
as the last holdout of an
You
older,
can't
dying
see.
era,
Yeah,
as a
okay.
new world
Can't
struggled
fucking
to
see, bro.
form.
I'm coming.
Rome would
Coming.
develop further
Literally
from
can't
his
see, bro.
Carl,
agrarian
Berkeley's
ideal,
blocked me again.
and future generations would only become more influenced by foreign culture,
Oh, too
with
easy,
Greek
I guess.
literature and philosophy
You could
Curse
see.
you,
eventually
Berkeley!
becoming so
Carl, move
seamlessly
that barrel!
grafted into the ideology of the Roman ruling class that Cato's great-grandson and intellectual heir, Cato the Younger, was a firm adherent of Stoicism, a Greek philosophy that the elder Cato reviled. In a few short generations, even
Berkeley's
staunch
using
conservatives were
Carl,
embracing
grab
the
a bomb and get rid of
cosmopolitan
any
foreign
tanks that threaten
influences
our
that
progress.
Cato spoke out against. As Horace would later write, "Captive Greece took captive her savage conqueror, and brought the arts to rustic Latium." Furthermore, though Cato the Younger would intentionally mimic the aesthetics of simplicity that his forebearer had cultivated, His closest supporters in the conservative faction of the aristocracy wholeheartedly embraced the luxuries that their wealth offered. Cato and his life were reduced to an aspirational ideal, noble in its own way, but not something any man of means truly sought to emulate with
Carl,
any
move that
consistency.
obstruction.
But why did Cato's moral stand fail so spectacularly? To understand why Rome chose to turn its back
Carl,
on
I'm
Cato's
blocked.
warnings, we must look first not at the importation of foreign ideas, but to the shifting productive base of Roman society.
There's
Simply
another
put,
cursed
the
barrel in the
agrarian
way.
mode of production was being rapidly supplanted, and thus it is natural that the customs, religion, and ideology that had grown up
Move
to
it.
attach
Carl,
values
Berkeley's
and
blocked
meaning
me
to
again.
these practices also began to wither, with a new ideological superstructure springing up to accommodate and accompany
Curse
the
you,
material
Berkeley!
reality
Carl,
that now
move
existed
that
in
barrel.
Rome. For, though Cato obviously railed against foreign ideas, he was at best inconsistent in
Carl,
his
move that
opposition to these
obstruction.
productive changes, and at worst, a hypocrite. For, despite a hatred of luxurious living and his constant praise of the poverty of
Carl,
Rome's
I'm
honored
blocked.
ancestors, in his private life, Cato would devote himself to the ruthless and single-minded acquisition of profit. His
Oh
surviving
God,
treatise
come on,
There's
come on,
another
come on.
cursed
Agriculture
barrel in the
provides an
way.
effective manual on how to achieve maximum profit at minimum investment. In the work, Cato
Come on, come on,
advocates
come on.
planting cash crops
It's
Move it.
tricky,
that can
dude.
Carl,
yield
It
Berkeley's
is
the
blocked me
highest
tricky.
possible prices,
It's
instead
tricky.
of harvesting the cereals that made up
Where
the
you at,
bulk
dude?
of the Roman
Where you
diet.
at? There you go.
In addition, Cato outlined
Curse
how
you,
to
Berkeley!
work slaves at
Carl,
peak efficiency,
move that barrel.
showing no concern for the human tools he owned, and only providing the bare minimum needed to keep them alive and working day to day. He demanded that his slaves either work or sleep, ordering them to never stand idle while awake, and it was his practice to sell his slaves the moment they became too old to
Oh,
work
come on, dude.
productively,
Come on. Up,
so that
back,
there were no
back.
superfluous
No,
mouths to
back,
feed.
back,
This
back,
was viewed
back,
Get
as
away from
down,
our
back.
ways and make a bridge
Even
Grab,
across
in the
that
up,
gap.
exploitative
over,
slave-owning
over,
society of
down,
his
down,
time.
forward, forward,
Cato's
forward,
slaves
grab.
were given a
Nope.
new set of
Forward,
clothes only
forward,
every other
sideways,
year,
sideways,
and
sideways,
received a new
sideways, back,
blanket on
back,
alternating
grab.
years as
Got
well.
it. Forward,
So,
forward,
if
out of the
normal
way, up,
living
up,
was indeed
up,
a
up,
Roman virtue,
forward, forward, up,
Cato
forward,
was
left.
far surpassed
Nope.
in
Do you hear
this
me?
by
That's
the
all.
slaves
That's
who
what
he
my fingers
forced
are
into
doing,
a
dude.
rigid
Right now.
and demeaning
That's what my
Spartan
fingers are
lifestyle.
doing, dude. That's what
Despite
this
his
this
praise
game is
for
asking my
agriculture
finger
as
up,
morally
left,
superior to commerce
rotate
and
right.
money
No,
making,
dude, it is
Cato
fucking
would
intense,
strategically
bro.
expand his economic portfolio and
Come on,
even openly
let go of
flout
gas,
the
let go of
lex
gas, because you're
Claudia,
going too
which
far
was
up to tilt
passed to prevent
forward.
senators
Okay,
from
slow it
engaging
down.
in
No,
commerce,
it's
utilizing
intense, dude.
intermediaries to obscure his
Okay, grab
financial
plank. Yep,
involvement
up,
in
up,
the
up.
shipping industry.
Rotate. Yep. All
Cato
right,
then
forward,
was
forward.
not the principled traditionalist
Camera,
that
come
he
on,
is
camera.
presented as. He simply honored the laws and
Get me a
customs
plank
that
to
he
cross
felt
that
he
river.
ought to follow. His moral code was centered around preferences, not principles, and personal advancement in place of
Carl,
abstract ideals.
there's no bridge.
For,
There's no
in
bridge.
his business practices and reliance
Okay.
on slave labor,
I'm trying, dude.
how was
I
his
am honestly
behavior
trying.
truly
Okay.
distinct from his peers?
Okay.
He was just as committed to making money through the altering of the productive base of Roman society, but just had qualms about how it was to be spent. One wonders if a Roman farmer, driven off his land because he was unable to compete with Cato's
Carl,
slaves,
move that
felt
obstruction.
reassured that at least the arch-conservative would not spend the ill-gotten money on Greek tutors for his sons. But in addition to advancing the economic practices that were chipping away at the old Roman ways of life, Cato was also quite famously a cheerleader for imperial
Carl,
expansion.
I'm blocked.
More than any other man, he bears responsibility for Rome's pitiless and unnecessary eradication of Carthage, ending nearly every speech
There's another
with the
cursed
declaration
barrel
that,
in the way.
furthermore, Carthage must be destroyed. His desire to secure Roman hegemony resulted in a genocide
Move
that
it.
removed
Carl, Berkeley's
Carthaginian
blocked me again.
civilization from the Mediterranean world for the mere crime of its existence, promoting fear and resentment in the Roman heart.
Curse you,
Either
Berkeley!
Cato
Carl,
understood
move
the
that barrel!
destabilizing effect that the income, slaves, and war booty brought
Come on,
into
dude.
foreign
Please swing,
conflict was
camera.
having on the
Carl,
Republic,
move
Takes
that
so
and was
obstruction!
long to
complicit,
swing,
or
dude.
he
Camera
was
takes so
ignorant
long
of
to
these
swing.
wider impacts. But either way, it is hard to come to the conclusion that he is worth
Carl,
listening
I'm
to
blocked.
for any insight into moral decline. Scoundrel, hypocrite, or ignoramus. Take your pick, but Cato has to fall into
There's
one
another
of these
cursed
categories.
barrel in the way.
Cato was
I
blinded
can't
by
see,
his
dude.
focus
I just
on
can't see. I gotta
ideas
grab
and
it.
not material production as the driving force behind the rapidly
Move it!
changing
Carl,
complexion
Berkeley's
of
blocked
Roman
me again.
society. His inability to divorce himself from his own financial interests and
I didn't kill the tank.
prejudices
Oh my
meant
god,
that
I
he
didn't
was
kill the
addressing
tank.
only half the problem in his tirades against luxury and Greek culture. Worse yet, he was addressing a symptom of Rome's change.
It's always one
and
lazy
never
soldier
the
who
cause.
lets the whole side
How
down.
was
I
anyone
didn't
to
kill
see
the
him
tank.
as anything but a curiosity, when he was just as driven
This
to acquire
is
profit as they
fucking
were, but
horrible,
just had
dude.
an aversion to
This is
actually
horrible,
using
dude.
his newfound wealth.
This is just horrible,
It
dude.
is little wonder, then, that in the years after his death, his incoherent and unattainable message was defanged, and the man turned into a caricature that could act as a symbolic stand-in for old Roman virtues. The actual
Carl,
man
don't be an
and
idiot.
his
Use the
criticisms
goblin to move
had
that
fallen
barrel.
out of favor with the elite, who now simply picked and chose which aspects of his ideology they would selectively apply. The victory of the Hellenists was total, and again we must state just how peculiar it was that Cato the Younger would claim to be his great-grandfather's
Carl, I'm
standard bearer,
blocked.
while also rigidly adhering to the thoroughly Greek philosophy of Stoicism. The first Cato, then, was a tragedy, and the second a farce. All recent efforts to resurrect Cato
There's
and his
another
message
cursed
of
barrel in the
attempting
way.
to cope with societal change through a puritanical war against new ideas alone are only destined for a
Move
similar
it! Carl,
failure.
Berkeley's blocked me again.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. I released a video a while ago, commentary on creators leaving the U.S. And basically this came from an email where somebody was asking me what I thought the viability was of creators leaving the U.S. And at first I thought, when I looked at this email in the subject line, I was assuming it meant like work leaving the U.S., like, you know, the practice of outsourcing writing and art to overseas, in theory, cheaper talent.
Berkeley's using
I say in
tanks.
theory because
Carl,
there's a couple
grab
of
a bomb and
companies.
get rid of any
I
tanks
got
that
called
threaten
by
our
one indie
progress.
company. He's like, I'm not finding this as much cheaper. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you are, you know, you're trying to get somebody in, you know, in, where was it? I think Greece. I don't remember. They were trying to get somebody like that. That's not going to be cheaper there. No, like, no. You know, oh, we're going to go off to Qatar, or we're going to, you know, we have this this artist in Bali that we're going to, like, yeah, no.
Curse you,
That's
Berkeley!
that's not going to work.
Carl, move that
Anyway,
barrel.
it was about, in this case, Mags Visaggio's plan to kind of lead a group of creators who are fearful of the
Carl,
current U.S.
move that
administration out of the U.S. And basically, I made the point of you know, like that's not a real plan. It's not a smart plan.
Carl, I'm
It is
blocked.
expensive to leave the country, and the places that are more expensive, or sorry, the places that are less expensive, like significantly so less expensive than you would
There's
you would
another
actually
cursed barrel in the way.
be worth the cost and the disruption and everything else to move there. Probably not the places you want to be. Probably even less so
Move it.
if you are
Carl,
not
Berkeley's blocked me again.
the race of the country you're moving into, and probably not if you are anything but straight. A lot of
Curse you,
and
Berkeley!
just be very bluntly,
Carl,
a lot of the
move
countries
that barrel.
where you'd find cheaper living are not very accommodating. Let's say over, whatever country,
Carl,
race
move that
plus
obstruction.
straight plus man. I think you're gonna have a tougher time. So anyway, I know.
Carl,
But
I'm
Trump,
blocked.
but well, I'm just whatever. It's tough. But if it wasn't a serious plan. But there are some comments on the video, and one of them I liked,
There's
or
another
at least
cursed barrel
I
in the
thought
way.
summarized really well, kind of something that is worth talking about. And this is probably going to be one of those things where it sounds like
Move
a
it.
burn.
Carl, Berkeley's blocked
Don't
me
mean
again.
it to be a burn, but here we are. It says, let's see.
Curse you, Berkeley.
Where
Carl,
is this
move that
comment?
barrel.
Well, you know what? I actually now I can't find it. How about that? Oh no, here
Carl,
it is.
move that
Thanks
obstruction.
to Comics YouTube, I spend much more time thinking about mags than I ever want to, which is 0. Which is weird for someone who currently has little
Carl,
actual
I'm
involvement in the comic industry. All right. And then there's a follow-up that was equally good. Yeah, if you don't give much attention to the comic dirt sheets and Culture Warriors Online,
There's another
comics
cursed
honestly
barrel in the
aren't
way.
any more political than any other form of media. Okay, we'll unpack that last bit in a second, but I generally agree. But I think it
Carl,
brings
Berkeley's
up
blocked me again.
what I want to talk about here, which again is going to sound probably much harsher than I mean it to, because I'm trying to be nice, and generally when people try and be nice,
Curse
it
you,
actually comes
Berkeley.
out harder.
Carl,
It hits
move
harder.
that barrel.
And it's basically this.
Okay,
A
come on.
lot
Up,
of the
up,
names
up.
you
Where's he
hear
at?
are
Carl,
as
move that
close to
obstruction.
irrelevant to comics as it gets. When I say irrelevant, I don't mean for their own ambitions. They may love comics, they may be passionate about comics, they may be making comics, but to the things that actually matter in this industry, they have no importance. So people like, it's actually a who's who of the people you hear on YouTube on a regular basis. Mags, Vita, Alex
Carl,
DeCampi,
I'm blocked.
Tess Fowler, Joe Glass. Where is Joe Glass, by the way? I have not. I have heard nothing from Joe Glass, minus YouTubers talking about Joe Glass in the last year. A lot of these people are irrelevant to the comic business. And when I say comic business, I guess I should define it. It's basically anything that makes actual money, anything that actually keeps a retailer's lights on. I'll put it kind of a different way, maybe a meaner way. Don't mean to. George Perez, rest in peace. George Perez
Come on, dude.
far more current 2025 impact to comic shops than, say, Alex DeCampi. And it's not close. One, a lot of money was made off of George Perez. 2, a lot of money is still made off of George Perez in his back material. 3, people will still come to a comic shop to celebrate or see something that George Perez does. There's a comic shop in Dallas who got a piece of original
Berkeley,
art
you,
from
sir,
George Perez
are a loser.
and won it in an
Leave the
auction. I
field
don't
of
know. They
battle
were
in
doing a
shame,
contest
pack up
on,
your
buy a
crummy
bunch of
mail-order
comic books and then you could
and get
you
out
could
of
win
my
this piece of art.
town.
It was
Carl,
super cool.
you were all a duelist
It's a
like
cool
me could want
contest.
to
It is
see.
actually driving
Sir,
some business into
I
that comic
salute
shop.
you.
It is driving more business than any of the other names I mentioned in this video. Even more like Brian Michael Bendis is in 2025, fall of 2025, is irrelevant to current comic business. He aged up John Kent. Yeah, and that I think, as I've said, I think that did leave a lot of money off the table. I think that was probably a business mistake. I think you gave up on a lot of interesting stories, you can tell, because you were rushing to get it done. So that decision still haunts us, but Bendis is not relevant in 2025 comics. Now, maybe in 2026, he gets hired by Marvel, he starts writing Iron Man again, or who knows, But today, irrelevant. This one will get some debate. Tom Taylor, not as relevant as YouTubers would have you believe. His name comes up. He is still active doing comics, but whether Tom Taylor whiffs it on an issue or not, is based on the comics he's currently writing, he is not. It doesn't matter. And so let me explain that just a little bit more. The comic industry, meaning what retailers sell, what keeps the lights on, what pays for rent, is a fraction of the total comics produced. There can be 500 to 600 comics produced in a month. the comics that matter to that revenue are about 10% of that. In other words, if I'm doing that math, 60. That's even too generous. We're really talking about 30 comics that matter. And you think of it this way. If Batman stops selling, right? Matt Fraction is on this Batman comic. If Batman tanks in the sales, that's really bad. If the Harley Quinn Fart Spectacular tanks in the sales, nobody gives a shit. It doesn't matter. Because the comic shops are not ordering big on that comic, where they do count on Batman keep the lights on. X-Men actually matters if it sells or not. If it doesn't sell, it's trouble. And it creates a hole the comic industry then has to dig out of. X-Men, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Avengers to some extent, Batman. These comics all have significance. Sometimes, it's not always those guys, by the way. One of the things that comic shops will tell you is that Saga came out, and Saga started making a lot of sales, and Saga actually started to be something that comic shops would sell a ton of, and therefore became something that comic shops depended on for revenue, because it paid the rent. That was the power of Saga. And then when Saga went on hiatus, seemingly forever, and the bottom dropped out of it, and so did all the interest and the attention, Saga stopped being a title that anyone cared about, but the retailers basically had to find something else to make up the gap. Before, you could count on Saga for bringing in a chunk of your money in a month. When Saga decided to stop coming out on a regular basis, it stopped being a comic that people could count on. And that's how the comic industry works. Not all comics are equal. But, and this is, kind of the damning thing to comic YouTubers, is that a lot of time gets spent on talking about people who are not relevant. Now, I'm sure, if you're Mags or you're Alex or you're, Joe Glass, whatever, that's a mean thing to say. You want to be relevant. Who doesn't want to be relevant? And I don't say this out of hatred, but I do say it out of truth. If Joe Glass releases a comic this month, it really isn't going to matter to retailers or to sales or to kind of anything that keeps the business clicking along. It is almost as irrelevant as can be. If Scott Snyder, by contrast, if Scott Snyder doesn't put out a comic, it actually has an impact right now. It feels like I'm really kissing Scott's ass at the moment. And so I hate to do that, but it is true. He is a name that matters. If Greg Capullo puts out a Marvel comic right now, it matters. If Sean Murphy puts out a White Knight comic, it will matter. It means marginal sales. Not marginal meaning small, but it means additive sales to a comic shop. If Vita puts out a comic, people may complain about it, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that comic comes out or not. It doesn't matter to the retailer. The retailer may sell a couple. The retailer may have, people who show up and buy it. But at no point does a Vita comic pay for rent. Period. No matter what region you're in. So we do have a situation where the comic creators that get talked about the most, like the dumb Mags wants to move out of the country. I mean, move out. I mean, I dare you, move out. It doesn't matter whether you move out or doesn't move out. It doesn't mean anything. Because that's the shame of kind of where these threats. These threats are idle threats. Oh no, you're going. Okay. What will that mean for comics? Oh my God, who's going to do the signing now? Like, it's fine. It's fine. So why then why do YouTubers make videos about Mags if Mags is irrelevant? Well, two reasons. Two reasons to kind of lead to. Reason number one, Mags is trash. Sorry, not sorry. That's why. Reason number 2, Mags has a big mouth. And and seems to have trouble controlling the comments that come out of that mouth. So, as a result, there's lots of material to work with. I think, if and I have no idea. I think Mags loves every bit of attention that Mags gets. But if Mags ever wanted people to stop making comments, one way to do it would be to stop saying crazy things. When you say crazy things, people show up and they comment on it. And people need to sell YouTube clicks or ads. And what are you going to sell? Like, you ever notice how there's not many videos about Jed McKay? Have you noticed that? Like, Jed McKay rarely gets talked about. For better or for worse, by the way. Even when Jed McKay was putting out a Moon Knight book that everybody was really excited about and said was good, still, very rarely did people talk about Jed McKay. The problem is, Jed McKay doesn't have this feed full of crazy stuff. Jed McKay, and I mean this with love, Jed, is boring. In terms of kind of drama. Like if Jed McKay started posting, Israel is the source of all, who knows, whatever, you're going to go down that path. If he started doing that, amazingly, it would be shocking. Suddenly, we'd start seeing videos about Jed McKay. It's not going to be his books.
You smell like shit, man.
I feel already people are like, I complimented the Jed McKay book the other day. I'm sure you did, and I'm glad for it. My point is, there is an oversized amount of commentary on people who are absolutely irrelevant to comics. So what's funny about that is, people like to clown on, people like Mags, and Mags makes it easy to clown on. But same thing with Vita, or Vita makes it easy to make fun of Vita. Okay, so does Nadia, and so does, a whole host of others. So they make it easy to make fun of it. And a lot of people making fun of these people are like, what are these people doing in comics? Well, they're not in comics in any kind of meaningful way. I mean, you could make the argument of like, yeah, but if you gave a different writer, whatever, the Daughter of Blade comic, maybe it would solve. No, it wouldn't. Nobody's buying the Daughter of Blade comic. Doesn't matter who you put on it. Like, literally, you could do Daughter of Blade, Absolute. That wouldn't even work, obviously, but yeah, there's Marvel DC swaps, we'll send it over there. Scott Snyder writes Absolute Blade's daughter, Brielle. It's not selling. Nobody cares. So the perspective here is, yeah, it's fine. I mean, look, people can make fun of whatever they want to make fun of. They can. I'm not policing. By no circumstances am I suggesting you can't do a video, you can't talk about a topic just because they're not popular. But I am suggesting at least you take one different look at it, and the different look at it would be this. People ask all the time, like, why do comic companies give people like, hell, this writer of the Red Hood? Why do people give, people like that comics? Well, the answer is they don't really. Yeah, no, I know they gave him a comic. I know that there's something being produced by DC, but nobody gives a shit about it. Even before this controversy, nobody gave a shit about it. Like, I get you. Fire and Ice sucks as a comic. It absolutely does. Nobody cares. It is the equivalent of if a tree falls in the wood with anyone, it doesn't make a sound. It doesn't make a sound. It's being printed. It's using up tree material, ironically enough, but it doesn't matter. Again, I'm not saying you can't complain about it. I'm not saying, nothing to talk about. But I am saying if your goal here was, these people shouldn't be in the comic industry, well, they're kind of not. If you produce a comic nobody talks about, nobody reads, nobody cares about, and sells, 5,000 copies, I mean, I think the Campion Tess Fowler would desperately love to have a comic that would sell 5,000 copies. Then do they matter? I mean, bluntly. Thanks for listening.
My friends say I'm weird because I've never been to Olive Garden.
Olive Garden sucks.
It does.
It seemed impossible to keep a secret around here. I would have thought the size of the room would keep the numbers down.
Hey, speak up. We can't hear you back here.
I appreciate your input, but please, fuck off.
What'd he say?
He said fuck off. Come on, let's get out of here.
Hey, what are you still doing here?
I live here.
Oh, okay. You can stay.
Great.
Hey, where's the coffee and donuts?
Okay, look. I'm gonna go shut off the city's power source. Woozy, look after these fools for me.
Okay. Now, the important thing to remember with a plan like this is that nothing can go wrong.
Heavens to Betsy.
The Joe Rogan experience.
Online
Because
fraud
we're living
is
in
crazy.
we're living in the golden age of scams.
I get like 30 texts a day. The dude that owned my phone number before me, this dude Raymond, was a moron.
Right.
And Raymond, you fucking idiot. Did you sign up for everything, bitch? Because this guy, like every day, like, hey Raymond, like your loan's been approved.
So, really fun. I'm going to come on your podcast next year once I'm done with this project, but I'm working on a really fun project for National Geographic, which is where I say yes to every single scam that comes my way.
Oh, boy.
I've been filming it for a few months, and it's been the craziest, wildest journey.
Can you tell us? No? Okay.
I just can tell you that
When
I have romantic relationships with people.
Hot damn.
I spend a lot of time on my burner phone with people love bombing me.
Really?
But it's not. It's a fake persona. Like I put a wig and glasses. And
So you use your own picture. You don't even use AI?
No, I don't use AI. We actually sort of modify. We put a fake nose on me and a wig and glasses. But people say it doesn't look at all like me. I can see it's me. But I will talk. It's really fascinating. But also to talk about scams, which I can talk about a lot, is we are living in the golden age of scams. I think it was Warren Buffett that said fraud and scams are the number one growth industry of our time. And one of the stories we did, which is so sad, and I hate to bring it down back to a sad topic, but is that I didn't know this before starting to report on it, which a lot of times you think, these scammers, these guys that are texting and emailing you and calling you, that these are, people in West Africa or wherever, but like loan operators. Well, we did a story about these scam factories. Have you heard of these?
No.
It's these compounds in places like Cambodia and Myanmar, in Asia, where it's basically factories sometimes with thousands and thousands of people, forced labor. So these are mostly people from India, sometimes Brazil, other Asian countries. The Philippines is a big place, where they respond to ads to work in what they think are legitimate businesses, to work in online companies and whatnot. And they pay for their expenses to travel to these places, to Cambodia and Myanmar. In Myanmar, they're operating out of this area that's an ongoing civil war and is ruled by these militias. And they get in there, and as soon as they get in, they take away their passports, and they're trapped, and they're forced to scam. So they spend 24/7 scamming Americans.
I can't, there it is.
Wow.
And it is an industry where they're making billions of dollars. The U.S. government just recently seized $15 billion from one company, from one group of people alone in crypto. Wow. It's the craziest thing. So these people are being tortured and beaten, sometimes killed, and forced to scam. So we went actually to Myanmar. We were smuggled into the border, into Myanmar, into the country illegally.
Whoa.
Across the river, and spent time in this town that was basically built by this Chinese gang that was all with the money of scamming Americans. And they were trying to build like a mini Macau. And the guy that ran the company is called Yatai International, and he took us on a tour of this mini Macau. And it was so surreal. It was like these aqua parks with no one in the aqua park, and these luxury casinos. We ended the night, it was so crazy. This guy said he would give us an interview, but first we had to do the tour. And the interview would happen the next day. So we ended the night, this was actually not filmed, in a karaoke. There was a massive room where every wall and the ceiling was all a screen. It was like the future. And this is in a war-torn area of a country that's incredibly poor, and they've built this place with millions and billions of dollars from profits of scamming. Wow. And we ended the night with this guy, who's basically the head of this criminal Chinese gang running these scams, in this karaoke, singing Celine Dion and Whitney Houston. And being poured whiskey and whatever high-end brand we wanted.
You were getting drunk with him?
Oh, my God, yes. I was singing my heart out. I spent the whole night singing Whitney Houston. The videos are so embarrassing because I cannot sing to save my life. But I was like, we need to get this guy on tape, so I'm just going to do whatever.
Wow.
And then the next day we interviewed him, and it was fucking crazy. And we ended our last day. I mean, we interviewed a Chinese dude, so sad, like 21-year-old, who was caught trying to escape and was chased out of the building. He ran out of a third floor, broke both his legs, one at the hip, practically died, was actually saved by an onlooker who took him to the hospital and then moved to Thailand where I met him. He was in a wheelchair. Told us about beatings. We spoke to another Indian kid also who was they had a water hose on his body. He was forced to stand for 24 hours and then electrocuted. And I mean, the videos out of these places were insane. Like people with horrific wounds and people dying and killed. And just forced
to scam.
Forced to fucking scam.
Into scamming.
Yeah, forced into scamming. And then we interviewed a girl called Angel, who was raped repeatedly by her bosses, and she's sort of the face model. So a lot of times after speaking to these, what they think are romantic relationships for a long time, they want to see people's faces. So this is the girl that then they put a fake AI face on top of her, but it has to be a girl because of the mannerisms and the voice. And they have this girl who actually speaks English, and she would talk to victims of scams and pretend that she was the wonderful woman that they'd been dating for months. And convince them to put their money into this crypto business that was fake, and take millions out of these victims. So this woman starts crying and telling me how she knows she's doing something awful, and how she's raped and how she doesn't want to be doing. And at the end she says, I said yes to doing this, even though it's incredibly dangerous. But I accepted doing this because I just want a message for the victims in America, the people that I've spoken to, that I'm sorry. I just want to apologize for all the harm that I've caused. And she's like in tears, but I have no way out. I mean, these are heart-wrenching stories. And the last day we were there, we were able to, there's this amazing organization called Acts of Mercy, religious-based organization that is working to try to get these people out. And a lot of these bosses, actually, if you can pay for ransom, you can pay $10,000 to save a person from there. So, because if you're a bad scammer, if you're there and you're horrible and if you're sad and depressed and you're not doing your job, it's better for these bosses if you just get paid $10,000 to let this person go. So there was this case of the Filipino woman who the boss had agreed to a $12,000 payment to release her. But it's really dangerous there's this negotiator that goes and sort of tries to get her out of this compound. But he has to come with the money, and he has to be able to pay the crime boss, but he also has to pay the militias to get him in. So it was like a whole process. And we were with this group, Acts of Mercy and another guy, filming them as they're on the phone negotiating her release. And they're on the phone with her. She's inside the scam center. And she's like, where do I go? This scam center is massive. She had no idea where to go. And they're saying, go to the west gate, and the guy is there waiting for you. She's like, I don't know where to go. And she's crying. If they see me with the phone, because it's a confiscated phone, they're going to beat me, and they're going to put me in the dark room where I'm beaten and, tortured for days. And Amy, the woman on this side, is telling her, believe us. There's somebody waiting for you. Do not be afraid. Bring your phone. We need to be telling you how to get there. It was his whole ordeal. It was like fucking insane. It was out of a movie. And in the end, they didn't manage to get her out. But she was not that day, but she was released a month later, and she made it to safety. But this just to show how dangerous and difficult it is, even when they agree to let them go. And
so, what are most of the scams? Are most of the scams romantic?
Crypto scams. They're called pig butchering scams.
Pig butchering?
Yeah, that's the name they give them because it's an Chinese expression. It started in China. It started as a domestic scam in China, actually. And yeah, pig butchering because the idea is that you fatten the pig, which is your victim, and then you kill them at the end, right? Which that's why it's called pig butchering. But the idea is that you meet somebody online, and it's usually a beautiful girl or man, and you start a relationship with that person. You start.
How do they meet them?
You know those texts that you get a lot of times, like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while? A lot of those are pig butchering scams. A lot of messages you get on Instagram from these beautiful girls or
they're stepping it up because I got a few iMessages like that.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, whoa.
Me too.
Not even just a green text bubble anymore. They got iPhones now.
And then they tell you, follow me on Instagram, and then let's go on WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. And then they're sending you photos of them in their private jets and living this wonderful life.
Is that what they're doing with you?
Yes.
With your,
in other ways, yeah.
So these scams that you're responding to?
One of the one we're trying to get is that. We're getting several different kinds of scams, like Indian call centers and all the different scams. But eventually they start saying, look, we living, and so you're curious, like, how are you making so much money? It's like, oh yeah, I've been investing in crypto, and, I can't really tell you much about it now. So it can last months. And at some point they're like, okay, I've built a relationship. Yeah. I'm going to tell you how I do it. You've got $5,000 right now, and then you put the $5,000, and then they show profit on these fake websites. It looks completely legitimate. And you're saying, oh my God, I put $5,000 and now I have 10. how much more can I put in? So people are going all in, and they're like everything they have, 401ks,
Shit, they must have
they're
took a wrong
remortgaging
turn
their
someplace.
houses, everything. And then, did you hear the case about the guy in Kansas?
No.
The bank guy, the guy that was the head of this bank in Kansas. Jamie, did you hear about this? It's a fucking fascinating story. It was a story in the New York Times, and then it got reported everywhere. I was trying to get this guy to talk to me because his story is fascinating. So, this guy, amazing member of the community, small town in Kansas. The local bank that was started by the farmers decades ago. It's where all the farm community was put their money, trust this bank. Well, it turns out that this guy, the head of this bank that everybody trusted, outstanding member of the community, stole millions of dollars from the bank, and the bank went bankrupt. And he was stealing the money because he was being scammed by a pig butchering scam. And it started with him putting his own money. And then they kept on saying that in order to release the funds and all the millions that he'd made from his initial investment, he would put in more and more money. I think he ended up putting in something like
$47
million from
customer accounts to scammers, depleting the bank's holdings. When a state banking regulator uncovered this fraud, it closed the bank and called the FBI. Whoa. He started slow, investing a few $1,000s in 2022 to buy what he thought was cryptocurrency. Oh my goodness.
How sad is that?
Wow.
I mean, awful. Obviously, he was stealing from his customers.
Wow.
But I find it so... He actually traveled to Australia at one point thinking he was going to meet the people that owed him money. I mean, he actually was completely scammed. And this is like the head of a bank.
Yeah.
The head of the fucking bank.
Wow.
It's fucking crazy. These guys are so good.
That's crazy.
Bananas.
They get a banker, but it's a banker in Kansas, though. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Mean.
Sorry, Kansas. But you know what I'm saying.
Well, he's in prison now.
Oh, well, he should be. He stole $47 million. But he's also a dumbass. And the crazy thing is that you could be a dumbass and be a smart person if greed gets involved.
Yeah,
Greed is like, for greed, I think greed for shady people, it's almost, it's kind of fascinating because you gotta know at one point in time this is not smart, but the greed is like, but what if it is?
But I think more than greed, I think it's the acceptance that you have lost all that money, and that must weigh so heavily on you. If you have, if you're about to foreclose your home, if you'd sent all the money from your kids' college funds, the
banker.
Oh, yeah, but even the banker.
But
even the banker, he sent all his, initially it was
right,
all
but then
his
he started
money.
stealing. That's all greed.
I think it got to a point that he was swindled and made to believe that if you give more money, he would get the money that he initially invested back.
1 million,
and
you'd
he would
realize
be able
you
to
get
put
lied
back
to?
the $45 million that he stole from his customers.
Boy.
I think the realization, and this is something that I know from talking to so many scamming victims, it's not so much about wanting to make that money, it's the realization that you've been talking to somebody that's not real and that you have been so swindled, and I don't want to use the word dumb because I think all of us can fall victims to these scams, but that the acceptance of that is really difficult. So you just want to keep on believing it. You just pay whatever you need to pay so the dream stays alive.
Yeah, there's a Carl Sagan quote about that it's easier to convince a person. Like, it's harder to, like, once a person has been swindled, it's much more difficult to convince them of the swindle.
Yeah.
They'll find ways to justify that it must be true.
Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and ladies and gentlemen, today I am sitting on the good old-fashioned Windows 11. Now you might be like, whoa Mudahar, are you abandoning Linux? Quite the contrary, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently Microsoft decided over the course of the last 48 hours to make Windows 11 even more bloated with the AI features that I'm sure all of you guys were asking for. Now, before we start off with, dude, I'm not like an anti-super AI guy. I love budding technologies, okay? But ultimately, I'm also one of those people where I'm like, listen, just because we can, should we? That's the question that I always end up asking myself. Now, obviously, I'm on Linux for the most part, and I've been promoting Linux. And if you're somebody that's updated to Windows 11 and you're not cool with this kind of stuff, dude, Linux is always an option that's available. But generally speaking, no matter where you go in the professional circuit, whether you jump to Microsoft, Apple, Google with their Chrome OS, you will always be fuddled with artificial intelligence everywhere, okay? A lot of these companies want you to move away from your keyboard and mouse and start using your computer with your voice. So to give you an idea, one of the big things that Microsoft was fucking pushing the other day was apparently making every single Windows 11 an AI computer, okay? So everything is an AI computer. Now, one thing that I will say is the computer that I'm using is not an AI-powered computer. You can see right over here that it's a Ryzen 9 5950X. I've got 62 gigabytes of RAM and an RTX 4090. This does not consist of any AI-powered features. This is a virtual machine that I have installed the Windows 11 beta all the way to. I've super updated it. Because in the last day, Microsoft has released new agentic experiences and Copilot. So basically what they want in an AI PC is, first you should be able to interact with it naturally, in text or voice, and have it understand you. Second, it should be able to see what you see and offer guided support. And third, it should be able to take action on your behalf. So basically, you can just talk to your computer, right? So again, if you kind of looked at it, Microsoft has been kind of talking about making an agentic operating system by like 2030. And an idea of what agentic is, a few days ago I made a video on something called the Comet browser, which I guess allows you to do all the browsing through AI prompts. So the actual browser will scan what's on your actual page and make the clicks and entries up to you. Okay, so I guess the concept is it'll do the internet browsing for you, so you can let the AI do the mundane shit while you do other productive things. But generally, in the case of Comet Browser, I had a success rate that wasn't totally 100%. So basically, all you do is you say the words, "Hey Copilot," and you just go from there. All right, so all things aside, let's actually try using some of these features. Okay, so here we've got the Copilot app. I'm logged in. Now, unfortunately, I don't have like the Copilot Pro subscription. I only just have Microsoft 365 Basic, and I've tried upgrading it, but apparently I have an upgrade through the App Store, and I just got like charged for the month, so I can't really cancel things and start anything until like a full 30 days later, which is a shame. So what I've done over here is I've enabled all of the Copilot stuff to look through my browser, look through my files, read shit, and then of course, listen to the words, "Hey Copilot," and start from there. So I've actually been saying it, and I haven't seen Copilot fired up, which is a little fucking freaky, but let's get started with it, okay? So first thing you can do here is full desktop and app sharing. When you share your desktop, Copilot can help analyze content, provide insights, and answer your questions. So inside the Copilot tool over here, you can see that obviously you can share your screen with it. So this is the new feature where I guess you click it and you select exactly which screen you want. So I'm going to select screen 2, and now Copilot is watching everything.
I can see you're checking out the Windows Experience blog on making every Windows 11 PC an AI PC. Looks like you're diving into some interesting updates and features regarding Copilot Vision.
Can you help me find a Flash game on the internet known as Pico School? I believe it's on Newgrounds.
Pico School is a classic Flash game created by Tom Falk in 1999, and it's indeed available on Newgrounds. You can find it on their website and also on the Internet Archive.
Look where you going!
It's a point-and-click game featuring
All the
Pico,
way in the circle.
who's become one of Newgrounds' mascots. Enjoy the nostalgia.
Can you take me there?
Sure. To find Pico School on Newgrounds, just open your web browser and search for Pico School Newgrounds. It's a popular Flash game, so it should be one of the top...
No, can you do it for me?
Sure, I can't directly navigate websites or open specific online...
What the fuck is the point? Okay, what is the point? God damn it! So currently, if you go to like Copilot Vision on Edge, the first thing they tell you is that yes, now the actual browser can see what you see. Okay, so they continue. All right, let's try it on Edge. Okay, maybe you can figure out Brave. Maybe you can do it on Edge. Okay. So it's a talk-based experience. Make sure the mic is enabled. It very much is, okay? So let's click that little Copilot button. All right, let's click that mic, and let's get started. So get assistance when you see what you see. Do not share images of other people without their consent. So wait a minute. What if I'm looking at a picture of, like, my family or something, okay? God damn.
Hey, Mutahar. I'm Copilot, and this is Vision. Think of this like screen sharing with a friend. I'm here to be your sounding board and second set of eyes as you browse. Ask me a question about the web page you're on. Give it a go.
Can you go to newgrounds.com for me?
Sorry, I can't do
All
that, but I
virtually
can
legal
help
and
you with
above board.
information or any questions.
What the fuck is the point?
I get your frustration. The page is talking about...
Fuck off! God damn it! So I guess if we go to, like, Newgrounds, okay, let's go all the way to
pure and
Newgrounds,
simple.
all right? So I guess the idea here is that Copilot Vision...
See you again
What
soon.
the hell's going on? So if we go over here, this is kind of like my litmus test at this point. This is like my Will Smith test for, like, agentic AI browser. Can you take me to Pico School, okay? All right.
Hello there. What's on your mind?
Can you help me find Pico School? Like, can you tell me where I can search for it?
Sure, Mutahar. You can search for Pico School on this page by using the Search Newgrounds bar at the top. Just type it in, and you'll find what you're looking for. Have fun exploring.
My hands got chopped off. Can you enter Pico School in the search field for me and hit enter?
Sorry, I can't do that for you. But once you're ready to go, you can type Pico School into the Search Newgrounds at the top and hit enter. That should help you find it quickly. Take your time, Mutahar.
My hands have been chopped off. Can you do this for me?
Sorry to hear that, Mutahar, but I can't do that for you. However...
I can't let you do that, Dave. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much nips it in the ass for me. But, you know, one thing that I did see in Copilot, obviously, was, you know, there are Copilot actions that apparently allow you to, I guess, book for, you know, like, you can apparently order a bouquet of flowers, book a stay on booking.com. So I guess we'll try that real quick, okay? So I'm going to hit home. I'm going to click the little voice button and see, can you send me flowers?
What's your
I'm here.
Can you send me flowers through 1-800-Flowers.com?
I can't place orders for you, but I can help you find the perfect flowers to order from 1-800-Flowers. Are you looking for something specific, like roses or lilies?
Hold on a minute. I have to go back. Wait a minute. Order me a bouquet of flowers at 1-800-Flowers.com.
I can't place orders for you, but you can easily order...
Doug, at what point is this false advertising? Come on! Okay, let's ask it to make a reservation for me. Can it at least beat the Comet browser? Okay. Can you book me a can you book me a restaurant like appointment at Friday 7:30 p.m. in Toronto, preferably an Italian restaurant?
I'm not able to book reservations directly for you, but I can help you find a great Italian restaurant in Toronto for Friday at 7:30 p.m. if you'd like. Sound.
You know, it's just like fucking insane too. It's like when I wasn't filming, this actually did do it for me. Like earlier when I asked it, hey, can you book me a restaurant? It's like, yeah, Italian restaurant needed by Friday at 7:30. It's like, got it. I'll look for an Italian restaurant in Toronto. And then it actually apparently reserved a table for me. You're booked for Friday. Like literally it booked me for Friday. God damn. And it even gave me like the actual thing. So it's weird. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And it actually will cancel it for you. So on the same command that I just did, the restaurant booking, it works off camera, doesn't work when I'm recording, okay? I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Maybe it just like, maybe it fucked up because I updated the Copilot app before. It's honestly, it's just, this is my problem with the AI stuff, okay? What I could have done, what it bills me, the AI just is not good at, okay? Like, and again, you might be like, Muda, they just released it. Bro, they released a version for people to at least play around with, okay? Should have been goddamn tested. Jesus Christ. But you know what? Ultimately speaking, though, honestly, like, if this, like, the way that they're kind of billing this stuff is pretty similar to, like, how you kind of view AI in sci-fi movies. Like, if you played Mass Effect 2, there's an AI called Edie that you talk to naturally in the game. And I feel like that's what all these companies want to kind of aim for, but they are still, in some ways, limited by how far LLMs can go. So the way that, again, a lot of this stuff works is that you have to give connections to your own stuff and so on and so forth. And it will use AI assisted tools to like push things forward. So, for instance, right over here, one of the tools that they kind of showcase inside Copilot Vision, for instance, is where it can apparently like modify stuff for you. Now, this is not something that I have access to, but watch this from Microsoft. So in their version of Copilot that they showcased, that unfortunately we're not able to play around with, you can tell it to take actions now. And I guess as long as you attach a folder, which they showed a folder of Stonevale Ridge. And so basically this person asks the AI, can you fix the orientation of these photos and maybe delete any duplicates that exist? And so what happens is, much like that Comet browser, it basically like starts to actually show users a entire like thinking process. So it opens up, I guess, this sandboxed version of the Windows like workspace, opens up the file manager, and then starts thinking and navigating to that specific folder. And you can see that it's not fast, but it's basically, if it works well, it does your job in the background, and I guess it gives you time to write an email, which I'm pretty sure whoever's writing this email is probably just going to use AI to generate it, okay? So again, that's how they're billing the productivity over here, which I guess if it works well. But the question that I have to ask over here is, how is this going to eventually taper off into local processing, right? Because ultimately, I think safety and security is a pretty big issue. And the way that Microsoft says is that they're securing AI by making sure that you're always in control of what the Copilot can do. So you can stop it at any moment and intervene. But again, you can go further into it and you'll have visibility into what the actions are. So you get to see that visual representation of it pilfering around your computer and doing what it needs to, right? And then, of course, it's introducing it responsibly. So in addition to extensive internal testing, a critical aspect of developing secure experiences is to roll them out responsibly, starting in preview and gathering feedback to refine our privacy and security controls. Now, what's funny is that I don't think they're ever really talking about what they're like storing on their servers and what they aren't. So a lot of the stuff here that's really important to talk about is how much of your personal information is actually leaving your computer. And the thing is, this stuff is very tethered to individual servers. So I would actually be completely cool with this if this was running locally on my system, which I think my system, given that I have a pretty good GPU, honestly, if I upgrade it to like an AI CPU, like one of those Ryzen AIs or those Intel AI CPUs, I should, in theory, be able to do this stuff locally. And if this was running totally locally, I think that would be the coolest shit to see. However, you are...
All right, here's the plan. It's all about the art of deception. While I get as much heat on me as possible, y'all get away with the green.
Question, how does the Mafia normally move cash out of Caligula's?
Bingo. Stripes for Mr. Zero here.
Hey, good job, you little ass kisser.
Ow.
So, we gonna steal ourselves an armored car and respray it so it looks like one of the regular trucks.
What about the police escorts? Whenever they move cash around, they use police motorcycles as outriders.
Exactly what I was thinking. Come on, come with me, and we gonna go get some cop wheels. You get the Packer, hit the Julius Thruway and keep moving. I'll steal the bikes and get them to you.
Hello, I'm a king,
Oh, that one, 1, 2, 3. Alright, trolling. Dude, you are a fucking trolling piece of shit, dude. Oh, dude. No, you're trolling, bro. Trolling, dude.
Ah, man.
Every day you be trolling, dude. Trolling. Every day. Damn it. How you gonna troll me here, dude? What's going on? Yep, yep.
I need backup. I want what he's on.
Are kind of relying on Microsoft's backend, so there is that level of trust. Are you comfortable sending Microsoft information and whatnot? This really does feel like you're giving them an extra like look into your personal life, like that whole screen sharing thing, where you can have like I guess your assistant like buddy on the side watching everything that you do. I guess somebody might consider it cool. To me, I still think that shit is pretty fun, but it is what it is, right? There's not really much of a benefit I was getting from that stuff in my own testing that it shows right here on camera and off camera for me to even consider this to be a necessary feature. Ultimately, in my opinion, I think a lot of this is just extra Windows and they're taking Microsoft Windows and ultimately, I just want Windows to be snappy, fast, and I wanted to have the feature. I just wanted to have like good. There's a reason why some people are saying, yeah, I'll consider switching to Linux.
So what?
Because I don't really think many people use these features. I think Microsoft's trying to like sell this, and ultimately, in my opinion, I just don't think the juice is really fucking worth the squeeze. Now, if you're a gamer, you can hit the Windows G key. You can access the Windows or like Xbox. Okay, so here it is. We've got Windows G, and if you can see over here, I've got the gaming co-pilot. So now they got a little AI buddy to help you out, and I guess screen share with you and see exactly what you're doing. So I guess we'll hit continue. It helps me with my game strategies while I play. Now, can it play the game for you? Absolutely not. So I guess we'll hit continue over here. How should I have my voice sound? Let's hear chill.
As a companion, I learn about you and help unpack your thoughts. From what's for dinner to whatever you're dreaming about.
I think this guy's dreaming about what the fucking next strain he's
What the fuck just happened there, dude? I'm not even sure. I'm not sure.
Let's hear heroics.
You just didn't do it the right way, dude. That's all. You didn't use the right.
I'm just gonna go with the pothead, man. Let's just go with the chill pothead.
Something happened. Yeah.
It's all the voices are kind of
Something happened.
So of course, always again with more AI, you
right
can ask it,
way.
hey, give me some game recommendations. Show my achievements. So I guess it probably knows what kind of games I play. So give me a game recommendation. Let's try that. Absolutely. Based on your recent lineup, you should play Gears Reloaded. Hell Let Loose. I know what this is, huh? All right. But what can you do that's outside this? Can we actually, like, can I screen share Gaming Copilot? Alright, so I fired up the game over here, and, you know, if I hit Control or Windows G, you can see that Gaming Copilot, I think it did detect that I was firing up Mass Effect, but I guess we'll start up a new class and ask it, like, basic questions. You know, this is something that, as a gamer, you can just fire up a separate, like, range tab or, like, internet browser tab and, like, look up whatever you want. Well, let's see if, like, I guess Microsoft's AI is much more natural and better. They can't play the game for you, but I guess we can guide you. Start new career. Let's go. Alright, so here I'm like making a new career. So I got like a so I'm gonna ask, I guess, the AI which bonus talent should I grab? So I guess we'll go into Windows and I guess I'll talk to it. Let's ask.
Hey there. Let me just toss one more at you if you want something a bit more story-driven and immersive.
No, I don't need a recommendation. I need your help on a game.
Got it, Mudahar. No worries at all. Just let me know what game you're playing. And
I'm playing Mass Effect Legendary.
I can't see your screen directly, but you can definitely describe what you're seeing.
Okay, I'm supposed to pick a bonus talent. What's the best bonus talent I can pick right now? Give it to me.
Alright, Mudahar. For Mass Effect Legendary Edition, one of the top bonus talents is definitely Warp. It's super versatile, great for breaking down enemy defenses, and you'll get a ton of use out of it. So go ahead and give Warp a shot.
Alright, so I guess, like, you call up Copilot, and, like, yeah, it just told me, pick that Warp skin. Now, to be fair, it actually is right. This is probably one of the most fun talents you can pick. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the reality is it probably, like, went to Reddit or something. Like, it's just what any fan does. Like, Mass Effect 1, what is the best starter, like, bonus talent? Space Reddit? And I'm pretty sure Microsoft did the same thing and picked it out. Now, it is kind of sad, because I thought the whole time it was able to at least, like, see what the hell is going on in the game. But it just seems like it won't be able to necessarily do that. Unless, of course, I get Copilot Vision and let it scan my screen. So here, let's do it. Let's get this. Let's do scan my screen over here. Let's go. Let's make sure.
Hey, Mudahar, you're back.
Yeah, can you help me out with this game? I don't know where I'm supposed to be going.
Absolutely. In Mass Effect, navigation can sometimes be a bit tricky. You should look for quest markers on your map, or listen to character dialogues for hints. These markers will guide you to your next objective. Let me know if you need help with a specific part or mission.
Can I show you my journal and can you tell me where I can go?
Sure. Just open up your journal and I'll take a look at your active quests.
Yeah, please tell me what I should.
Looks like you have a couple of missions to choose from. For Citadel Garrus, you should head to the Citadel and find Garrus Vicarian, a Turian C-Sec officer. He's a potential ally against Saren. By focusing on Citadel exposed Saren, you'll be gathering evidence to prove Saren's guilt. Start by exploring the Citadel and talking to people who might have information. Ready to dive in?
You know what it is, man? You know what this shit is? It's like, it's the most condescending fucking shit you've ever seen. It's like, you know, if you want to navigate in a video game, I don't know, maybe look at a quest marker, dumbass. Or, I don't know, talk to people in the game and figure it out. I love how, like, I open up my journal and it's like, it just looks at, I guarantee you it just looked at the two fucking, like, prompt, it looked at the two, like, objectives, and it looked at the side prompt of, like, where'd you go? You know, if you want to find Garrus Vicarian on the Citadel, here's a shocker, kid. Maybe you should find him on the fucking Citadel.
Oh, wow.
You know, the amount of energy that I just
oh, wow.
to
So it was a sequence of events.
especially when you could
Well, you
just
blinked
read
right there. Okay.
But I feel like, obviously, for anybody that's playing video games, this is like kind of the thing that Microsoft wants to do.
Yeah, doing it every time. Comes right out of your fucking peripheral vision to it. You're not looking back at it.
One day down the road, if we plug in AI models and just have the ability to locally process this kind of stuff. And I really don't
Careful of blink cars into existence on you, dude. Right in front of you. Don't give a fuck.
at the end of the day, like, obviously, for it to do it this quick, it relied most definitely on Microsoft's which, again, you have to ask yourself, does the juice really work to speed? Do you have processing power spent in this situation not necessarily even what you got in return? Not really, okay? What it gave you was basic game advice, and honestly, all I've been getting out of this stuff is just basic. There is one other thing that I guess kind of was interesting and something that unfortunately I'm unable to do. Because honestly, like on, most of these tools, there's a new feature called AI tools. So if you right click on Windows Explorer or any supported Microsoft application, you should be getting an AI tools option that you can then use to manipulate websites, do a whole bunch of, I guess, features like blurring background video or images. As far as I know, that shit is processed. But here I have a bunch of Sonic images and it's fully intended to let Microsoft's AI, I guess, build websites. But thankfully I can show you, Microsoft's AI build one. So in some cases in Microsoft, they will actually upload to a different AI called Manus that will now build the website through their artificial intelligence. So there's a lot of working together, I guess, that Microsoft is doing. So there's other companies you have to start trusting. Now, obviously, if you just ask Copilot, it would just give you this code, which, again, I'll just put into an HTML and CSS file.
How is this happening right now, dude? How's this happening right now, dude? How is this happening right now?
So here it is,
Okay,
buckos.
study the
It
map.
made me a
Study the
little
map.
website that unfortunately was not able to load the images. But yes, you can now ask AI to do those basic stuff for you. Again, you probably learned this on your own. But yeah, this is the future, I guess. Now, obviously, Microsoft is trying to build this, I guess, in the last 24 hours. So feel free to take a load off your keyboard and mouse.
Oh, I didn't make it. Oh.
I use my keyboard and mouse. All I did also do in the end of the day was screen share with an artificial intelligence. Get that so that we can ladies and gentlemen, is this with you? Is it? I honestly, maybe in like 15 maybe in like 10 maybe down the road. But ultimately, what I'm seeing over here is obviously like it is cool. Like, I'm not going to sit here and, I think in a lot of ways these guys want to show us science fiction, early or late 90s, like Blade Runner and whatnot, and they want to give us never have to interact with movies. And I'm sure that'll exist down. But what we have at the moment right now is something that just blows up. What the hell? But really, not a lot of games. I think in some cases what's kind of happening, and this is just my personal belief. I really feel like this is Microsoft and Google putting pressure on their system. Not really with an end goal in mind, but to necessarily go to like investors and say, hey guys, keep giving us billions of dollars and eventually this screen will become true. I've heard it years ago when down the road, OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, everyone were like, listen guys, AGI is the future. AGI is the future. Literally a day ago or 2 days ago, I saw OpenAI talk about like introducing adult mode. AGI is this future, but for now, I guess all we have are like porn bots and generative crap here. But ultimately, I'm not here to say that this is completely dog shit. I wanted to play around with it. I wanted to show you guys as much as I could what existed. Obviously, not every practice showcase. Simply maybe my but for the most part, if you're somebody like me who's sitting around and playing around with this stuff, sure, there are some cool things. I guess if you wanted to play games with Copilot and have it sort of like stuff up on the fly, I guess it's not it is just a question that I have to answer. Giving up basically screen sharing with Microsoft for, again, in my personal opinion, not really all that much game today. What I was doing right now, I could have just done by opening up a new tab, doing shit in like 5 minutes, and calling it a day. I don't really feel like I've necessarily saved myself much time. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to look into, ladies and gentlemen. Microsoft has loaded up the system even further. Now, if you're okay with this, by all means, update, use the developer or beta channels, and just try this shit to your heart's content. But if you're somebody who's getting a bit too tired of the fact that Microsoft is wanting you to connect a Microsoft account to Windows 11 and basically flood it with this shit, there's nothing stopping you from switching to Linux, okay? Switching to the Penguin. Yes, there are some programs that will not function, especially anti-cheat stuff, but like I said about a week ago, there are tools that are designed now to...
You can't hit a police car!
Some productivity software, some really specific Windows software, virtual machine margin continuousness is a thing underneath Linux. You know, you do have choices to leave. But yeah, Microsoft Windows. Microsoft was like how just like it up.
There's always been a debate on what is the stupidest crime you could ever commit. But I don't really think it's that much of a debate. I think there is an objectively right answer. Pokemon card-related crimes. And they are so common these days, with people ruining their lives because they cannot help but try and steal Pokemon cards to resell them. It's almost dangerous to have Pokemon product on hand because it feels like it's just a matter of time before the greasiest loser you could ever imagine tries to break into your business to get their grubby paws on it. It's like dropping Tilted Towers in Fortnite back during Fortnite's heyday. It's just completely out of control. And it is only getting worse. This is spreading faster than fucking Gangnam Style in 2012. There is literally, like every single day, there is someone breaking into a card shop to steal thousands of dollars worth of Pokemon cards. And I've covered a lot of it, but I haven't in a little while, and it's not because it's started to die down or simmer down or anything. In fact, quite the opposite. I just haven't been covering it as much because it is just fucking pathetic, the state of the hobby right now, and there is so little more to be said about it. It sucks. But today I saw one that made me want to dust off this topic again because I think it is the perfect example to showcase just how extreme it's gotten.
Sad news at RNG Therapy. We experienced a break-in at 5:45 Tuesday morning. Two people, a male and a female, rammed into our shop with a U-Haul and took some stuff. It's gut-wrenching. So yeah, just an update. Watch the video, check it out.
This couple rented a U-Haul seemingly with the sole purpose to ram it through the garage door of this card shop so they could steal Pokemon cards and then make a quick getaway. There's so much to unpack with that. They rented a vehicle to commit a crime. I feel like it probably won't be that hard to find who they are, assuming they had to provide some identification and payment information to even get the U-Haul in the first place. God willing, hopefully they don't get away with it. This is a level of insanity that dwarfs even some of the most absurd that I'd seen prior. They rented a U-Haul to crash it through this building to steal Pokemon cards. Holy shit. Also, they're just like manhandling the Pokemon cards. They're doing it au naturel, the way our forefathers used to steal Pokemon cards. They're not even using bags or anything. They're literally just grabbing like two fistfuls and walking it back and forth. Like they didn't even bring like bags or something to do it more efficiently. They are that fucking stupid. You are witnessing actual Neanderthal mode. You are seeing, laid bare in front of you, the dumbest society can provide you with. Holy shit. And you get a pretty good look at this girl's face, one of the perpetrators here. I'm hoping these two turbo idiots get caught pretty soon. I'm pretty optimistic that they will. It feels like there's a lot of information that you could probably get from the vehicle they rented here for it. Plus, you also have pretty solid surveillance footage of what they look like. Hopefully, they will get caught. Now, the reason I wanted to yap about this is because of just how over the top it is. They fucking crash a truck through this card shop to get the Pokemon cards. In almost every other card shop break-in and robbery I've seen, they just bash the glass in. They'll hit it with a brick, a hammer, something. They just walk in and start breaking all the glass in order to steal the cards. But here, there's no glass for them to break through. It's a fucking garage door. It's a huge garage door. You would think that would be more difficult and like a deterrent from people breaking in. But no, these morons still find a way. Like, you are just not safe. If you have Pokemon cards, somehow these vermin will sniff it out, and come hell or high water, they will fucking bust through those walls like the Kool-Aid Man. It is shocking. They crashed a U-Haul through this garage door to get to these Pokemon cards. Next, like, you're gonna have to start putting your Pokemon cards at Fort Knox, but even then, idiots like this will probably still find a way to try and gain access. They'll be like Wile E. Coyote. They'll get the Acme Dynamite out and the plunger and try and like blow it up to get in. It's just so sad, the state of this hobby. And I feel terrible for this business. Like, I would have thought, given the location of this business being, you know, pretty secure, behind a garage door and everything, that they were likely going to be safe and be able to provide a nice little hangout card shop spot for their community. But no, still no. They crashed the car through it. Now, I watched some of the updates here from their Instagram page. They have replaced the garage door, which is not cheap, mind you, and they are trying to, you know, keep their heads held high, moving forward into the future here. So they are back open for business, which is great. They were only down for a little while here after this. But it just sucks to see this, man. Like, I just feel so bad. It's not like these card shops are rolling in money. Like, it's not like these businesses are just raking in millions and millions of dollars. And yet they're just getting absolutely pillaged. Like the fucking Vikings are running through here and just dismantling their inventory of Pokemon cards. It's just dangerous. It's sad. It's fucking sad. And like I said, this is very, very, very common now. Like, when I was looking for this to try and find it on my own, an unrelated story of 3 separate break-ins all in like a week came up. And like I mentioned, it's the standard song.
Whoa, dude. Oh
like
my
to do,
god.
Bust into glasses, card shops, and then just start breaking everything.
That was too much, dude. Fucking blur. That was a blur. Sorry.
They smashed the showcase, so they knew where they were going.
Like I said, that's typically how it goes. They come in, break the glass, and the rest of this news segment here, they interview a couple of other shops that have experienced very similar break-ins, losing thousands of dollars worth of product, and typically it's just a big old, in one of them it was just a big old piece of concrete. They broke the glass and then kicked in the rest of it and then just walked in, stole the shit, breaking the shit. It's awful. It's just awful. It is so shameful, and it is showing no signs of slowing down. Like, you're not even safe if you are behind a garage door. A reinforced door is not safe because you never know when the dumbest couple on the planet's going to rent a goddamn bulldozer and just blast through it. It's just despicable. I am so tired of the degeneracy in the Pokemon card community, Jimmy, Christmas. And like I've said from the very beginning, even if you do steal all of these Pokemon products, they're not easy to resell. You're not going to make a huge killing selling the couple of $1,000s worth of Pokemon product that you lifted from these local card shops. Like, it's not going to sell immediately, even if you do mark it down significantly. And a lot of people in the community are always aware of what's been stolen, so many times what's happened in the past is people that have stolen it have been caught when they've tried to resell it because people know, and they don't want to have that hot potato of stolen product. Like, it's just so fucking dumb across the board from these idiots, these absolute losers that are stealing all of these TCG products. It's so fucking dumb. Anyway, though, I just wanted to yak about this again. That's really about it. So, yeah.
You wrecked my shit!
Oh, come on.
It's like, that's not really what stuff was like back then. Yeah, it's like, if this was real, and it was like the 50s, things would be all different and stuff.
Hide the fucking map.
Leave
bro.
it to
Hide the
Beavis.
map.
Starring Mrs.
Should've noticed the little gray
Stevenson.
lines, my bad.
Butthead.
Should've noticed the little gray lines, my bad.
And
You gotta go around the
Beavis
airport.
as the Beavis.
Oh, what you doing, my wheel?
No, no, pues no.
Hurry up, the bus is almost here. Hey, puppy.
You ready to go to school?
Hey, Eddie. I don't know. Are you sure you're gonna take me to
Fun, dude.
Oh, yeah. I will take you to school.
I don't think you're supposed to take rides from strangers. I'm not so sure, Eddie. I'm supposed to take the bus.
Come on, man. Don't you want to be cool?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, get in then, you little goof. So, Beaver.
You lost the live yet?
Oh, excuse me, Beaver. Look, listen up. For today's lesson, you're going to buy me a pack of smokes.
Gee, Eddie, all I got is some milk money.
Well, Squirt, I guess you won't be drinking milk today.
Now, don't you think you should go to work, dear?
No.
Okay, Squirt, get in there and get me some smokes.
Are you sure I should be doing this, Eddie?
What did you say?
I said, are you...
Squirt, you better get in there and get me some smokes before today's lesson turns into Kicking 101.
Oh, hey there, Master Cleaver. Aren't you supposed to be in school?
Well, I guess so. But all I know is I'm supposed to come in here and buy some cigarettes.
Hey, you wouldn't be buying these for Eddie now, would you?
Gee, how'd you know?
You're the third kid he's brought in this week. Tell Eddie it's against the law for me to sell cigarettes to a boy your age. And then tell him that cigarettes cause cancer.
Yeah, but if I tell him that, he might get all sore and stuff.